Albany Police Department. Let me pull it up right now. They're telling us that there is a lockdown at the moment.
Oh, no, I did.
Well, there's a lockdown at the moment. Oh, I should be wildlife. So it says right now they are currently investigating a report that a person inside Albany may have been in possession of a handgun at this time. The investigation remains ongoing. As a precaution, the hospital has been placed on lockdown.
Together or something? They're walking right up here. Everybody, how are you?
Hold on, see, just stand.
Hey, Tessa.
How are you guys?
Hey, Matt, how you doing?
Hi, Nick. I'm good. How are
I
you?
need talk. This is going to be fun.
You get that ball.
Welcome back. A special report here on News Channel 13.
Yeah, that's because we have breaking news related to a lockdown at Albany Medical Center Hospital.
Albany Police right now giving us an update. Let's listen in live.
And just so you guys who are rolling, Steve Smith, of course, you know, I'm Matt Markham, M-A-R-K-H-A-M, spokesman for Albany Med.
You guys ready?
Give me 1 second.
All set. You all set?
You good?
Okay, we're good.
I just want to give you guys a quick briefing. There's a lot of speculation out there right now, so we just want to give you a quick briefing. We'll probably have more as the evening goes on, but around 2:40 this afternoon, the Albany Police Department received a call for a person who inside the hospital who may have been in possession of a handgun. Our officers immediately responded. They coordinated with Albany Med Security. Lockdown procedures were put in place, and right now we're focused on a certain area of the hospital where this person was last seen. We're conducting an investigation. We know right now that there are no staff that are in harm's way. All patients are taken care of, and right now, again, we're just focused on this certain area of the hospital to determine if, in fact, there is a person there who may be in possession of a handgun. So this could take a little bit of while. I know there's a large police presence here. That is not unordinary for these types of circumstances. Obviously, we're dealing with a very large building with a lot of employees, and we have patients here. So right now, the hospital is on lockdown. All the patients are accounted for. All the patients are safe. Right now, all staff are accounted for, and all staff are safe. We are just focused on this certain area of the building, determine if, in fact, there is a person who may have been in possession of a handgun here this afternoon.
We are getting reports on that certain part of the building. Do you want to elaborate on that, or is that something that's still off the record at this point?
Yeah, right now we're just gonna. I don't want to get into too many details of the investigation, but this situation is completely isolated. Our officers are focused on one certain section of the building. But again, all staff in that building and all patients in that building have been accounted for and are safe.
So just a little bit more about what was going on inside. So we called a code Silver, which is a safety code that we have, as soon as we learn of any potential that there may be an armed assailant within the hospital. And within seconds, our staff moved very quickly to make sure that they were safe, their colleagues were safe, and patients were safe as well. So I can tell you at this time, the hospital is safe. patients are safe, and staff are safe as well. So patient care does continue behind us for the patients who are in the hospital right now. We have canceled some outpatient medical appointments for the afternoon, but you may have seen a helicopter landed earlier. We are still receiving patients as needed based on how critical their condition is, because we know we are the referral center for the Capital Region, and we know that our doors need to stay open for patients who need us, and the hospital is safe.
Can you go over what a code silver is and the procedure that is entailed for that?
So a code silver is called if there is a potential armed assailant in the hospital. There are a number of safety codes that we use every day in the hospital. At just about the time Steve mentioned earlier, at about 2:30, that code was called, and at that time staff moved into a safe place. Staff moved to work with patients as necessary to keep them in a safe place. This is something we train for all the time, particularly with Albany Police. We have a great relationship with Albany Police. We learn a lot from each other, and those drills that we plan for, we put into effect today to have a safe afternoon here at the hospital.
But you're still trying to locate the person.
Yeah, right now we're just focused on a certain area within the hospital to try to determine if somebody is in fact in that area. Could take a little while. We have highly trained police officers here. We have negotiators here. So hopefully, within the next couple hours, we'll have more information and we'll be able to provide an update.
So what was the credible tip that made you call this lockdown for you guys to come out here?
We had a tip, and the tip was that somebody was inside this hospital who may have been in possession of a handgun. So right now we're trying to determine if somebody was in possession of a handgun at this hospital. Obviously, we want to err on the side of caution. A lockdown was immediately put in place, and we have already started our investigation in that specific area. So I can't get into too many specific details right now, but we will provide an update.
Are you able to share if the shots were fired? Was any evidence of that?
There were no shots fired.
Did that weapon get pulled on anybody, or was it just brandished as a threat?
Yeah, right now the investigation is still ongoing. That's something we'll determine throughout the investigation. So, but we'll be providing an update later once we have more.
Can you just give us a little detail into how you're sweeping the building? What the procedure that goes into sweeping a building of this magnitude?
Yeah, I don't want to get into too many specific details right now, but we are focused on a specific area right now within the hospital. The rest of the hospital, as Matt said, is operating as normal. Patients are being taken care of. All hospital staff are accounted for and are safe, and operations are still currently underway. So we'll provide more information we have, but right now the Albany Police Department, as long as our law enforcement partners are here, and we're going to just continue our investigations.
So I saw some people waiting outside, so the emergency room is now open. People will come in.
The emergency room is on lockdown, but we'll be receiving patients as necessary based on the critical nature of their condition as they come in from various places. Another thing I want to mention is that we've got a lot of buildings down here. So a lot of our staff work in 22 New Scotland. That's also a clinic location. Those buildings, patients and staff can move in and out of freely at this time.
Are any people getting diverted at this point? I know you said that certain people are being told that their procedures are not available to them today.
We have had to divert some ambulances, but again, if we're in touch with the ambulance crews throughout the community and there's a case that only can be handled here, we will take that patient. If there are other hospitals that may be able to step in for us, we certainly welcome that. We have a great relationship with St. Peter's and our other hospitals in the community, but if it's a case only we can do, we will accept that patient.
Is there anyone in that lockdown right now? Any people in there at that time? Any numbers you can give us?
Yeah, I don't want to get into too many specifics right now, but again, we're just focused on one certain area, and no staff, no patients are in harm's way. So we'll provide an update when we get it. All right?
Okay,
Thanks,
okay.
guys. That's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
You have been listening live to a press conference right outside Albany Medical Center. Again, the hospital is on lockdown right now. This has been the situation for about an hour and a half there right now after you heard police talking about the report of someone possibly seen with a gun inside the hospital.
Correct. Only a report now. This call came in at about 2:40 this afternoon. The hospital immediately went on lockdown after a report of a person with possibly a handgun. Possibly a gun. I shouldn't say a handgun. We just know a gun. They're focused on a specific area of the hospital now, trying to determine if that person is still in the area. Police tell us that all staff, all patients are accounted for, that it's only a search apparently in this specific area of the hospital for the person who was seen to have a gun. All staff and patients are safe, and the Albany Med telling us as well that they are taking some patients still, only the most critically ill. So many of the ambulances have been diverted. However, Albany Med is a level 1 trauma center, so those who are critically ill are still being brought to Albany Med. As we saw at about 3:30, there was a helicopter landing on top of the hospital. Presumably that was someone who was critically ill or involved in an accident.
That's right. At that time, we were unsure what that helicopter was related to, but the hospital confirming that in fact was medical related. Video from right outside the hospital on your screen right now. All hospital staff that was outside at the time has remained outside, and those who are inside are some being kept in their offices, but others seeing patients. That the hospital tells us that some patients who are already there are being treated at the time. But again, that one section they're focusing on to see if this in fact is a credible tip, and if they will find someone in this case who was armed with a gun.
Our Tessa Bentulin and others asking more specifics about the area of the hospital which is involved now and whether patients are able to come and go. We're learning that many of the patients are not able to go. So if you're just joining us now, it's 3:59:20. We're on early with our news here this afternoon because of the breaking news, a lockdown situation at Albany Medical Center Hospital.
We'll begin our Live at 4 program right now and get you updated on the latest. I'm Sabrina Dami once again.
And I'm Mark Mulholland.
We are following that breaking news right outside Albany Medical Center, the hospital on lockdown right now. We've been learning about some patients being diverted to other hospitals. We do have Tessa Bentulin outside the scene. Again, police just giving us an update moments ago. Yeah,
the hospital issued a code silver, which is a code for a gunman in the hospital. Let's go live to Tessa. Tessa, good afternoon.
Hi, Mark and Sabrina. So we just finished up that press conference right here with the communications person with Albany Med and the communications person with Albany Police as well. Let's take a look at the scene right now. But what we're learning right now is that police got a credible tip that there is someone inside with a handgun. They have locked down that portion of the hospital. They won't say exactly where, but they say everyone is safe. All the staff is safe. All the patients are safe. They know that they are a hospital. People still need to come in and out for their emergencies despite what's going on right now. But they're telling us that depending on a person's situation, if they're coming in, they'll assess it, see if they can still come into this hospital. If not, they will divert it at the moment. We've also got police officers over to the front of me right now. We've got 2 Albany police cops right here. We see people all outside right now, kind of just waiting to see when they can go back in lockdown at the moment. Police are not giving too many details as to who the person is, if they had that handgun. Again, it's just a credible tip at this moment that they're assessing, they're evaluating. We also saw some state police over to my right of me. Many of them told me that they're just kind of here if something does happen and if police need backup. We also saw some other police officers head-to-toe gear. You see, actually, take a look at this right now. So we got more people coming in to Albany Med at the moment. I'm going to move out of the way here. So we got them going inside. A very active scene at the moment. Mark, Sabrina, you saw that press conference that was just held.
Tessa Bentulin giving us an update right outside Albany Medical Center. That armored unit just pulling in right behind Tessa as police continue to investigate what's going on there. Yeah, there's a lot of activity outside. We have team coverage here this afternoon of the lockdown situation at Albany Medical Center Hospital after a code silver was issued. We can tell you exactly what Albany Med said as they tweeted just before we came on air. They said they're investigating a report that a person was inside the hospital, may have been in possession of a handgun. Here's what they're saying. At this time, the investigation is ongoing, and as a precaution, the hospital has been placed on lockdown. Patients and staff are safe. Since that tweet, we've learned that police are focusing on a specific area of the hospital for the person believed to have been seen with a gun. Again, staff outside the hospital right now gathering as they are waiting to see if they can get back inside, find out what is going on. And Taniqua Penix is there as well, speaking to some people outside the hospital. Let's check in with Tia. And what have you learned where you are, Tia?
Hey, Mark and Sabrina, you all said it. It's a lot of activity, and you can see just people are standing by, shocked. You see people out with their cell phones. Everybody has questions. They want to know what's going on. We did just have that press conference. I talked to a DoorDash delivery person. This person tells me they've never seen anything like this in the area, but just a lot of questions. We have a lot of people from CVS. They can't talk on camera because they're supposed to be working. But again, this has drawn so much attention. You just have people outside right now with their phones, want to know what's going on. So I've been walking around talking to people. I'll go back and see if I can get some more answers from people. But until then, reporting live in Albany, Taniqua Penix, News Channel 13 with coverage you can trust. Mark and Sabrina, back to you.
Tia, thank you. This is a situation which started to develop at around 2:40 this afternoon when the call came in that the person may have a handgun inside Albany Medical Center Hospital, and immediately the hospital spokesman tells us that the hospital went on code silver.
Yes, again, code silver is a potential armed assailant inside the hospital. So again, police right now focusing on a specific part of the hospital, looking to see if this person is inside and what they can find out. But patients are in the hospital. They were in there at the time, so doctors have been seeing patients who were already there, but they are not taking new patients except for critical patients coming in via helicopter.
Via helicopter, or perhaps those most critically injured by ambulance. But as the hospital spokesperson told us just a few minutes ago, that many of the ambulances headed to Albany Medical Center have been diverted or are being diverted at this hour. We're continuing our live team coverage now. Let's go back to Tessa Bentulin, who's standing by live outside Albany Medical Center. Tessa.
Hi, Mark and Sabrina. So before the 4 o'clock show, I was talking to some people who were inside Albany Med. We're kind of just waiting out here. Several people told me they didn't want to give their names, but they said, yes, we were told that there's a lockdown right now, so we were just told to go outside and wait for further notice. They also said that they were told it's a code silver, and as Albany Med told us, it's one of their bigger protocols that they use if there is a person inside the building with a supposed handgun or a knife or some sort of weapon on them. So that's what we're being told by Steve Smith again as well with the Albany Police Department. He says there is a credible threat of someone inside the building with a handgun. So they're in Albany Med right now assessing the situation. Again, people just kind of waiting to see if anything is going to happen. But as for patients, again, they're all safe, they're all sound, as well as the staff that are inside and caring for those specific patients in there. But you know, Albany Med is a huge hospital, so they've got buildings spanning all across this district. So any other buildings that are with Albany Med that are not specifically this one right here that's being evaluated for that lockdown, the other ones are also open, those parts of the hospital. But this is also what we heard from Steve Smith as well.
Right now, again, we're just focused on this certain area of the hospital to determine if, in fact, there is a person there who may be in possession of a handgun.
Now, one other person actually came up to us, and he was a patient at Albany Med, and he said, hey, do you know anything? I was just told that there was a lockdown and I needed to leave the building. And that's what he did. He was a patient there. He was waiting for an appointment. A doctor told him to just head out of the building. We're still waiting to get more information, but this time Steve Smith with Albany Police is not giving us too many details as they still evaluate this credible threat with someone inside the building.
Tessa, we see that one angle behind you. Again, that's the main entrance of the hospital. But can you describe, since you've been there for a little while now, what it looks like in the other parts of the hospital, the emergency room area, the other parts of the hospital as well?
Yeah, so we've been pretty much at this one centered main entrance of the hospital, which is the emergency room. We haven't really seen any sort of ambulances come in and out right now. It's really just, as you see, another cop car. There's sirens coming on. Inside this car right now, there's another police officer in head-to-toe gear. He'll be coming out soon. We haven't seen any patients coming in and out of here, but we did see that chopper around 3:30, and that was a patient that was going into Albany Med. So some critical patients that need to be in Albany Med, they will come inside. You see this van going in here as well. Mostly just police officers going in the main entrance here.
Again, Albany Med taking all safety precautions, as well as Albany Police working with other agencies to investigate exactly what is going on there. We did get a tweet from Albany Police a short time ago. Again, we had that updated press conference, but here's the latest information via social media saying we're currently investigating a report that a person inside Albany Medical Center may have been in possession of a handgun. And at this time, the investigation remains ongoing. As a precaution, the hospital has been placed on lockdown. And again, more details to come. This is the tweet from Albany Medical Center that they tweeted a short time ago as well. We've been getting a lot of phone calls here in our newsroom from people who have loved ones who work at the hospital.
Yeah, Tessa Bentulin mentioned that one of the patients was allowed to leave. There are some people inside the hospital who are not being allowed to leave, and we have team coverage here. And Stella Porter, our reporter, has also been gathering information related to what's going on inside the hospital. She did an interview with a family who had to say goodbye, who said goodbye to a family member who passed away, and they're now not being able to leave the hospital. So we'll have that coming up a little later on in this newscast. But now let's continue our live team coverage. Let's go back to Tia Penix, who is standing by live outside Albany Med. Tia, what have you learned?
Well, hey, Mark, I've just been talking to people as they walk by. A lot of people work at the hospital. I actually spoke to one person. He said he was working, and then all of a sudden they got a notification about a code. He said he didn't know what was going on, but he tells me he's a little edged from just hearing it and then coming outside and seeing what's going on. But even he doesn't know what's happening. I don't know if we have that sound where I could play for you or not. So we don't have the sound just yet, but basically a lot of people are just wondering what's happening. You see the people still outside, a lot of people on their phone recording, a lot of questions because we're seeing more police come in. We just saw another truck come and they had big guns, so no one knows what's going on, but a lot of people are on edge, and we'll have some sound for you later in the show. For now, reporting live in Albany, Taniqua Penix, News Channel 13 with coverage you can trust. Mark and Sabrina.
Tia, thank you very much on a very fluid situation apparently inside the hospital as well, but we should note that the police tell us that everyone is safe. All of the patients and all of the staff at Albany Med are safe. The unknown is whether they've been able to find the person who was reported to have a handgun in his or her possession. Again,
police telling us this is they're taking all measures to make sure everyone is safe there. It's precautionary is what they're calling it. This was someone possibly spotted with a handgun inside one section of the hospital, and that's the area they are focusing on right now. Let's take a quick break from this coverage, and we think we have Tessa Bentulin ready for another quick update. So let's go back to Tessa live right now.
Hi, Mark and Sabrina. So back out here again, pretty much just everyone just kind of, again, waiting outside, wondering if they can go back into the hospital, wondering if they can get more information about what's going on. Again, at this time, it's a lockdown with a person. Police got a call of a credible threat with someone with a handgun. They're investigating right now. In the past hour that we've been here, we've just seen a lot of police officers coming and going, putting their sirens on, people in head-to-toe gear with law enforcement going inside the building, looking at that one part that is locked down. There's one section that's locked down in Albany Med, but they won't tell us exactly where it is because they're looking into it right now. But if anyone that needs to go to the hospital, needs to go to Albany Med, they will assess their situation, see if they can go to Albany Med here, or will they have to divert them to another hospital.
Tessa Bentulin, thank you very much. We do have some more. We want to find out from you, though, whether there has been any more police going in. We saw an armored vehicle arriving. We've seen police in full riot gear or combat gear. Have we seen them entering the hospital, or are they going around behind?
I kind of see them going around behind, so I haven't really seen many people going through the front entrance here. They're kind of taking a right past this adult and pediatric emergency sign, going towards the back entrance where the gate is up over there. Josh is showing you the picture right now. So I see them all kind of going into that entrance over there. Not so many people going in and out of the front entrance here.
Tessa Bentulin, I asked that. Thank you very much, because perhaps we can get a better understanding of where in the hospital police are searching.
Right, what area they're focusing on. Again, minutes before we came on air at the start of 4 o'clock, police did give us an update, and we have that for you. Let's listen in.
Around 2:40 this afternoon, the Albany Police Department received a call for a person who inside the hospital who may have been in possession of a handgun. Our officers immediately responded. They coordinated with Albany Med Security. Lockdown procedures were put in place, and right now we're focused on a certain area of the hospital where this person was last seen. We're conducting an investigation. We know right now that there are no staff that are in harm's way. All patients are taken care of, and right now, again, we're just focused on this certain area of the hospital to determine if, in fact, there is a person there who may be in possession of a handgun. So this could take a little bit of while. I know there's a large police presence here. That is not unordinary for these types of circumstances. Obviously, we're dealing with a very large building with a lot of employees, and we have patients here. So right now, the hospital is on lockdown. All the patients are accounted for. All the patients are safe. Right now, all staff are accounted for, and all staff are safe. We are just focused on this certain area of the building, determine if, in fact, there is a person who may have been in possession of a handgun here this afternoon.
We are getting reports on that certain part of the building. Do you want to elaborate on that, or is that something that's still off the record at this point?
Yeah, right now we're just gonna, I don't want to get into too many details of the investigation, but this situation is completely isolated. Our officers are focused on one certain section of the building. But again, all staff in that building and all patients in that building have been accounted for and are safe.
So just a little bit more about what was going on inside. So we called a code Silver, which is a safety code that we have, as soon as we learn of any potential that there may be an armed assailant within the hospital. And within seconds, our staff moved very quickly to make sure that they were safe, their colleagues were safe, and patients were safe as well. So I can tell you at this time, the hospital is safe, patients are safe, and staff are safe as well. So patient care does continue behind us for the patients who are in the hospital right now. We have canceled some outpatient medical appointments for the afternoon, but you may have seen a helicopter landed earlier. We are still receiving patients as needed based on how critical their condition is, because we know we are the referral center for the Capital Region, and we know that our doors need to stay open for patients who need us, and the hospital is safe.
Can you go over what a code Silver is and the procedure that is entailed for that?
So a code Silver is called if there is a potential armed assailant in the hospital. There are a number of safety codes that we use every day in the hospital. At just about the time Steve mentioned earlier, at about 2:30, that code was called, and at that time staff moved into a safe place. Staff moved to work with patients as necessary to keep them in a safe place. This is something we train for all the time, particularly with Albany Police. We have a great relationship with Albany Police. We learn a lot from each other, and those drills that we plan for, we put into effect today to have a safe afternoon here at the hospital.
But you're still trying to locate the person.
Yeah, right now we're just focused on a certain area within the hospital to try to determine if somebody is in fact in that area. Could take a little while. We have highly trained police officers here. We have negotiators here. So hopefully, within the next couple hours we'll have more information and we'll be able to provide an update.
So what was the credible tip that made you call this lockdown for you guys to come out here?
We had a tip, and the tip was that somebody was inside this hospital who may have been in possession of a handgun. So right now we're trying to determine if somebody was in possession of a handgun at this hospital. Obviously we want to err on the side of caution. A lockdown was immediately put in place, and we've already started our investigation in that specific area. So I can't get into too many specific details right now, but we will provide an update.
Are you able to share if the shots were fired? Was any evidence of that?
There were no shots fired.
Did that weapon get pulled on anybody, or was it just brandished as a threat?
Yeah, right now the investigation is still ongoing. That's something we'll determine throughout the investigation. So, but we'll be providing an update later once we have more.
Can you just give us a little detail into how you're sweeping the building? What the procedure that goes into sweeping a building of this magnitude?
Yeah, I don't want to get into too many specific details right now, but we are focused on a specific area right now within the hospital. The rest of the hospital, as Matt said, is operating as normal. Patients are being taken care of. All hospital staff are accounted for and are safe, and operations are still currently underway. So we'll provide more information we have, but right now the Albany Police Department, as long as our law enforcement partners are here, and we're going to just continue our investigation.
So I saw some people waiting outside, so the emergency room is now open. People will come in.
The emergency room is on lockdown, but we'll be receiving patients as necessary based on the critical nature of their condition as they come in from various places. Another thing I want to mention is that we've got a lot of buildings down here. So a lot of our staff work in 22 New Scotland. That's also a clinic location. Those buildings, patients and staff can move in and out of freely at this time.
Are any people getting diverted at this point? I know you said that certain people are being told that their procedures are not available to them today.
We have had to divert some ambulances, but again, if we're in touch with the ambulance crews throughout the community and there's a case that only can be handled here, we will take that patient. If there are other hospitals that may be able to step in for us, we certainly welcome that. We have a great relationship with St. Peter's and our other hospitals in the community, but if it's a case only we can do, we will accept that patient.
Is there anyone in that lockdown right now? Any people in there at that time? Any numbers you can give us?
Yeah, I don't want to get into too many specifics right now, but like again, we're just focused on one certain area, and no staff, no patients are in harm's way.
That was a news conference held about 25 minutes ago now. That was Albany Police spokesman Steve Smith and Matt Markham, a spokesperson for Albany Medical Center Hospital, telling us about the lockdown situation at Albany Medical Center Hospital caused when a person may have seen a gun inside the hospital.
Let's show you a picture we're just getting from someone inside the hospital, sending us a visual of what it looks like. As patients, you can see wheelchairs in the background, IV bags, and then in the foreground, law enforcement with big guns walking around.
Yeah, certainly a scary situation if you're there being treated at Albany Med this afternoon. But as police have told us that the situation, the safety of patients, the safety of staff is, they are secure.
Let's go back to Taniqua Penix. She is also live right outside Albany Medical Center, speaking with people affiliated with the hospital. Tia, what have you learned?
Well, Sabrina, there is a heavy police presence here, and we heard Steve Smith say this is normal protocol just to ensure the safety. But for the people walking by and the people that work at the hospital, it's nothing normal about this scene. I spoke to a person who works at the hospital, and he tells me what it was like hearing the code, and he didn't know what to expect, so he walked outside, and he tells me he was shocked when he saw all of this that we're seeing now.
I don't know what to think. Basically, they said just stay in your place, so I did just that. And my coworkers and I, we just came right now to just kind of see what's going on, because we hear the sirens, the ambulance and everything, so I don't know. It was just crazy.
And he goes on to tell me that he's on edge, confused, still a lot of questions unanswered. But we did hear from police that there's no one injured. Everyone is safe, patient, staff. We'll have updates later in the show. For now, reporting live, Taniqua Penix, News Channel 13 with coverage you can trust. Mark and Sabrina.
Tia, thank you very much. And as Tia pointed out, the unknown is often the most difficult part, right? Whether you're an employee, whether you're a staff member there, whether you're a patient or a family member of a patient, it can be very difficult.
As the nation is on edge with too many reports of these things happening. Let's go back to Tessa Bentulin. She is standing by, ready to speak live with someone over there right now.
Mark and Sabrina, so I'm joined here now by Usman, and your wife is working in Albany Med right now, and she is a lab tech, correct?
Yes.
And so tell me, you've been texting back and forth. She told you that she was in lockdown, correct?
Yes, she does. So she texts me, said, baby, can you please get the kids? The hospital is locked down because there's an active shooter in the hospital. I don't know when we will be allowed to leave. Thank you. I asked her, are you safe? She said, yes. I asked her, can you talk? I said, I'm going to grab the kids. And I asked her, are you okay? I'm praying everything is going okay for you. She said, thank you. We are locked in the lab. So I said, great, everything's okay. But she didn't reply yet. So I want to make sure she's safe. Yeah. So I've been here for like a little while now. So I don't see any movement. So that's a little bit concern to me.
But she's been texting you every so often, checking in with you, so it puts you at ease a little bit, but I'm sure this is still nerve-wracking and very scary for you on the outside here, just waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, definitely it is. So I hope everything looks good for them. I hope they are all safe in there, but I don't know to this point what to say. You know, it's just concerning. Yeah.
And have you heard from Albany Med at all? Has anyone talked to you?
No, nobody called. I don't know if they have my phone number, but nobody called yet to let me know what's going on.
And your wife, how long has she worked at Albany Med?
She's been here for a few months now. She worked for the VA as well. So, yeah, she's been here for a few months.
Okay, so a fairly new job. She works in the lab. What does she do there?
She's a lab technician. Yeah, she do blood work, all the type, urine tests, all that type of stuff for the blood. Yeah.
All right, and so you're just waiting for another text message from your wife right now?
I'm waiting to see if I can get something back from her. Okay. Definitely.
And is the lab, is it on this side of the building, or you're just kind of waiting around?
I believe she always say on the ground. I don't know exactly where part of the building, because I've never been in this lab here. So I don't know exactly. That's why I'm staying out here to see if I can see any movement, if she can come out or not.
Just tell me your emotions right now.
I mean, it's tough, but it's all right. Yeah. Yeah, I think everything's going to be all right. Let's pray.
Oh, we'll pray for you. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so
Usman.
much. Yeah.
All right, Mark and Sabrina, as you heard, this is Usman. His wife works at Albany Med now, just a couple months. She's a lab technician. She's been texting her husband saying, hey, you know, we're in lockdown right now. Please go pick up the kids. Usman, you picked up your kids, and they're at home right now?
Yeah,
They're home right now. He came out here because he is nervous. He is scared. He wants to make sure his wife gets out safely. So he's just kind of waiting around to see if anyone will talk to him or if his wife will get back to him. They're texting sporadically here and there. Hopefully he'll get another message from her and we can give you another update.
Tessa Bentulin, thank you very much. If it's any consolation, we should point out again that the police department and Albany Med have said that all staff, all patients are safe and secure.
Yeah, thank goodness for that. We will take a quick break. We'll be back right after this to continue our live breaking news coverage of the situation outside Albany Medical Center.
Stay with us.
Sorry, I got your name wrong, man.
Yeah, please. That's always scary. It is. You don't know what's going to happen.
I mean, the person who's mine is a gun.
Yeah.
There's a possible gun inside.
It's crazy.
Well, you let me know if there's anything we can do for you, okay?
Yeah.
Just stick with us. We'll let you know.
Thank you.
Tess, you can give me that mic. I'm going to put new batteries in there. Good stuff in the universe, man.
There you go. That's what we felt. Well, look, there are lots of patients.
Were you in this building?
I was in there when it started.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, I can't get back in to see my mom, but I'm sure that'll end soon.
Hey, Tessa, I think they're going to come back to you. Stan, what's going on? Did you come all the way from Amsterdam? You know what? I did not go west today. So
They didn't make me. I left just for a couple of minutes. My mom's a patient in there.
Oh.
When I was there with her, I said, what can I get for you? Can you get me some soup? So I went out and stepped out to get her some soup. They won't let me back in for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So there's your headline. Mrs. Levy can't get soup. No soup for her.
Do you know if she's okay?
WNYT Albany. News Channel 13 live at 4 begins right now.
Our continuing coverage of the breaking news situation outside Albany Medical Center. I'm Sabrina Dami.
And good afternoon. I'm Mark Mulholland. As we've told you, Albany Medical Center is in lockdown right now. We've been following this since around 3:30 this afternoon, but the call came in at about 2:40 this afternoon for lockdown at Albany Medical Center Hospital. We can tell you right now, as we're on the air at 4:33, that Albany Police have told us that no staff and no patients are in harm's way as of this moment, but it is still an ongoing situation as they try to secure an area where a patient or where someone was seen with a handgun or with a gun of some sort.
Possibly a gun is what police are saying. Again, we have had crews there bringing us updates all afternoon. So let us go back to Tessa Bentulin live right outside the hospital. Tessa, you spoke with a man just moments ago waiting to hear from his wife who works inside the hospital. What's the latest there right now?
Mark and Sabrina, Usman is the man I spoke to, and he just got another text message back from his wife, and she says, yes, we're still in lockdown right now. So he's still waiting, hoping that this lockdown will end anytime soon, but it doesn't look that way. I want to take you to the corner of where we're seeing of Albany Med, where we think that police are going into that entrance, which is onto this ramp over here behind that black gate. Our photographer is zooming in over there for you. You see that white van right there? Just a couple of minutes ago, we saw law enforcement putting on gear from head to toe with big long guns on them, heading in that direction into that door over there. We don't really see many people or many law enforcement going into the main entrance door that's closer to us. We are on the corner of Myrtle Avenue and New Scotland Avenue at the moment. Again, we just see Albany police cars coming in and going, putting their sirens on, blocking off some areas. To the corner of me, I also have some state police officer or state police troopers who say that they're really just here for backup in case that law enforcement do need them. As for Usman, that man I spoke to earlier who said that he's waiting for his wife is in lockdown right now. She is in the building. She is a lab tech. She's been working with Albany Med for just a couple of months. There's some other people out here that work for Albany Med who say, we just got a call that we were told that this is a code silver, is what Albany Med calls it, as someone who is inside the building considered to be a credible threat with a gun or a weapon of some sort. So they all left the building, some who could. As for patients who still need to come in and out of the building, people who are coming in maybe with an emergency, the emergency room is still open, and depending on their situation, they are going to be admitted here. If not, they'll be diverted to another hospital. But the Albany Med is still open in some cases. Those patients that are inside right now, they are safe and okay, as well as those staff. No one is currently in harm's way.
Tessa Bentulin live at Albany Medical Center, which is in lockdown now, and a lockdown of a hospital the size of Albany Med affects thousands of people, quite literally, because you have patients, staff. It's one of the largest employers in Albany, certainly. So lots of people are concerned about what they can and cannot do, but we should continue to point out that Albany Police have told us that all patients and staff are safe and secure.
Tessa Bentulin talked about a code silver. Again, a code silver is a potential armed assailant inside the hospital. The hospital spokesperson says they practice for these situations and they use that protocol, and that's what they're doing right now. The hospital did send out an updated tweet about 15-20 minutes ago saying, visitors, please stay home. Any visitors planning to go to the hospital, please stay home. This is in addition to their tweet saying that the hospital is being essentially police checking everything out over there right now, and that's the tweet that they sent about 3:30 this afternoon. Investigating the report that a person inside the hospital may have been in possession of a handgun. At this time, the investigation is ongoing. As a precaution, the hospital has been placed on lockdown. Again, reiterating, patients and staff right now are safe.
Stella Porter continues our live team coverage now, talking to people inside Albany Med this afternoon. Stella.
Hey, Mark and Sabrina, I'm outside the main entrance to Albany Medical Center right now. On the other side of the building from where Tessa Bentulin and Taniqua Penix are, you would almost know that there's no police presence, or almost think that there's no police presence here, because things are moving as usual. We've seen lots of employees coming around the building. And I've been speaking with several families that are inside this building right now who are either visiting family, they're getting treatment themselves. I spoke to one woman, Rebecca Speenberg. Her family is from Coxsackie. They showed up at the hospital to see her grandfather this morning. Unfortunately, he was taken off of life support, she tells me, around 2:30 this afternoon, and her family has actually been on lockdown inside that room with her grandfather after he passed. Take a listen to the conversation, part of the conversation I just had with her.
He passed away at about 2:30, and we were about to leave when they told us we couldn't. We said our goodbyes. We were about to pack everything up and leave, and then the nurse came in and was like, "We're on lockdown. Like, you can't leave."
She tells me that she and her family believe they are near where the situation is happening. They believe it is possibly happening directly above the room that they and their grandfather are in. She said she's there with her mom, her uncle, and they are just waiting to hear from the hallway what may be happening right now. So lots of uncertainty for people actually inside here, either visiting family or receiving care themselves. That is the latest from the front of Albany Medical Center. We'll check back with you in a few minutes. For now, reporting live in Albany, Stella Porter, News Channel 13. Mark, Sabrina, back to you.
Stella Porter, thank you very much. Very difficult situation for that family.
My goodness.
Yeah, I'm sure there are other families who are in similar circumstances there this afternoon as the hospital remains on lockdown. Here's what we know as of 4:39 this afternoon here on Monday. There was an initial report of someone inside Albany Medical Center Hospital saying that someone may have a gun.
That was at 2:40 this afternoon.
Police focused on one section of the hospital and say they continue to focus on one section of the hospital. They say no staff, no patients are in harm's way. Visitors are being told to stay home.
We do have a picture that was sent to us from inside the ER. This is from Heather Rose sending us this picture at 4:09 saying that she's been in the ER since 8 o'clock this morning. And then this, of course, happening at 2:40 this afternoon. She says patients are still being taken care of. But in this picture, you see people in wheelchairs and then law enforcement carrying long guns in the foreground there. So this, again, a very active scene at Albany Medical Center right now.
And a startling scene, certainly, if you're a patient or a visitor there this afternoon. Let's continue our live team coverage now with Taniqua Penix, who has been gathering reaction from people outside the hospital. Tia, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mark. People walking out just around are double taken. They're like, what's going on? A lot of confusion, a lot of questions, what's happening. People tell me that were actually working at the hospital, they tell me they got the code and they didn't know exactly what that meant. They're just on edge, confused, want to know what's happening. Now, we do know from police that hospital staff, they're okay. No patients are at risk right now. They're not in harm's way. But people walking by, they just want to know what's going on. I talked to several people, and we have sound from someone who told me they saw it all and they're just wondering what's going on.
Taniqua Penix reporting live outside Albany Medical Center. Again, our crews that are on the scene have been speaking with people who are just wondering what's going on. There is some fear. We're getting messages from people saying, my mom works in the hospital and she's wondering what's going on. So police are reassuring us, the hospital reassuring us that everyone is safe. But of course, there's confusion and fear with what exactly is transpiring.
Because it is, in fact, an ongoing situation. They haven't given the all clear. They came on the air with us a little before 4 o'clock today to say that they were focusing on one particular area of the hospital, looking for, I think they use that term, looking for a person who may have had a gun. And again, we are nearly an hour later and we still don't believe that this situation is resolved. It is, in fact, an ongoing situation.
Police focusing on a specific section of the hospital, and in the other parts of the hospital, patients who already were there were still being treated and seen by doctors. We have state police on the scene, Albany police on the scene. We've seen armored vehicles. We've seen police in full gear. So as you mentioned, Mark, this is still very much an ongoing situation right now. Let's go back to Tessa Bentulin, who is right outside Albany Medical Center. She's been bringing us updates all afternoon. Tessa.
Hi, Mark and Serena. We've moved locations a little bit here. We're now on the intersection on Myrtle and New Scotland Avenue. One of the people that I spoke with earlier, whose wife is inside, he got another text message from her saying that she is able to get out of the building through one of the side exits. He's trying to figure out which one. We just saw a whole line of people coming down. I believe that is Usman right there, one of the men that we spoke with, and that has to be one of the must be his wife right there. I want to go and see if I can catch up with him in a bit and see if he can talk to us again. And so his wife, so he said that she was coming out, a bunch of people coming out of one exit onto this sidewalk here. So I want to see if I can talk to him really quickly. I'm going to throw it back to you guys and see if we can do possibly a live interview with them.
Tessa, that's good work. If you need to turn around, they're walking right behind you. Go right ahead.
That man that Tessa spoke with a short time ago said he was waiting to hear from his wife, a lab tech at the hospital. Her text messages to him said, "You have to pick up the kids because I'm stuck inside the hospital. I'm locked inside the lab." Yeah, and he was waiting desperately to hear from them, and perhaps we'll be able to talk to them again to see apparently now that they've been reunited. Again, if you're just joining us, there is a breaking news situation outside Albany Medical Center. We've been following very closely the report at 2:40 this afternoon for someone possibly with a gun inside the hospital. Police have been on the scene. They've been looking specifically in one section of the hospital, and they do reiterate that everyone is safe right now. No one is in harm's way. The call came in at around 2:40 this afternoon, and the hospital immediately went into lockdown and issued what's called a Code Silver, which is an alert they put out over the PA system to everyone, telling them that there could be a gun inside the hospital. But again, all staff, all patients are told, we are told by Albany Police and Albany Medical Center, all staff and patients are safe and secure. As we wait to gather more details here from our crews at the scene for more live reports, let us take a quick break and check in with your forecast right now and go to Chief Meteorologist, Meteorologist Reed Kisselback standing by over here.
Yeah, guys, we are tracking a little bit of some rain and eventually what will be a wintry mix for overnight tonight. So we're going to take a look really quickly out on the roads on what we're seeing. And this is I-87 exit 7. Right as we're heading to the rush hour traffic, starting to slow down a little bit, but you could tell we are looking at dry conditions out there, at least on this shot. And it's going to take a little bit of a while for us to really see that wintry mix. But if you're going to be out late tonight after the evening commute into the start of the overnight period, and really maybe even the early morning hours, maybe you work the overnight shift or start your shift around 3-4 o'clock in the morning, still potential for a wintry mix. So a couple slippery spots possible, not during the evening commute though, and here's the reason why. We'll show you the current temperatures from the New York State Mesonet sites. And you can see Albany still sitting at 50. We're at 48 in Schaghticoke and Voorheesville, 43 in Ballston Spa. The Mohawk Valley starting to cool down into the low 40s, 42 in Johnstown, as well as in Duanesburg. In the North Country, Chestertown at 43, but Glens Falls at 47. So some cooler air is starting to surge in. If we take a look at the temperature change from now to 24 hours ago, you can see that colder air just starting to make its way into our region. Albany about 5 degrees colder than 24 hours ago. Glens Falls 1 degree cooler, but out towards western New York about 5 to 15 degrees colder than this time yesterday. Here's a look at our weak system as it is passing on through. It looks a little bit more formidable, but we do have some dry air in place, so a lot of it's evaporating at the moment. And as we zoom on in over our region, you can start to see we are seeing some of that rain starting to push into our region, mainly in parts of the Mohawk Valley, into as well as the Schoharie Valley, parts of Southern Greene and Columbia County as well. We'll pull up the First Warning Live Doppler radar here to give you a steadier view of this. And you can see that we actually are seeing a little bit of some of that snow falling, maybe not just sticking just yet in parts of the southern Adirondacks into the Mohawk Valley. But for the rest of us, as we continue to work our way through this evening, temperatures will continue to steadily drop from above freezing down closer towards freezing. So we will eventually see that change over to some wet snow overnight tonight. And I know Paul will have the details on how much we can expect and when exactly that will clear out coming up in a little bit. For now, right back over to Mark and Sabrina.
Reed Kisselback, thank you very much. As word spread that there is a lockdown situation at Albany Medical Center Hospital, those who are concerned about people inside began to show up there today. That's right. Tessa Bentulin spoke with a gentleman waiting to hear from his wife, a lab tech inside the hospital. And Tessa, you have an update right now. You have Usman and his wife over there now?
Yes, I do. So I have Usman here with me and his wife, Isa, too. So you were just inside. You came outside. A big relief for the both of you. So just tell me what was going on inside when you got heard that there was a lockdown.
So it was just around 2:30-ish, like right after I finished my break. So they called the code silver and then said that everyone stay in place and secure, and we have to turn off the lights and everyone have to move away from the window or anything that can make someone from outside see you. So we have to cover the doors and then stay inside. And we've been in since 2:30. And no one have been able to go anywhere.
And what was that like for you in that moment when you heard that there was a lockdown? You had to, put the lights off and everything. What were your emotions at that moment?
It's scary because you're just wondering what's happening out there. I have my kids, I have my family, I have my husband. So it was just a scary moment. But at the end of the day, we just have to take it easy, not stress ourselves, and just stay calm so we don't go crazy about what's going on out there and just, yeah.
And you were locked down for about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
What went on in those 2.5 hours?
Basically, we just gathered in our lab, and I tried to process as many samples as I could, stuff that we had in the lab. So I figured I need to keep myself busy, keep my mind occupied. From thinking about what's going on out there. So, but everyone was in just wondering what's happening outside because we don't know.
So you kind of just kept working, is it?
Yeah.
How many people were with you?
Oh, maybe about 10. It's an estimate, yeah.
And you were able to text your husband, Usman, at the moment. Texting him, your heart was racing at that moment. You guys were just reunited minutes ago. What was that feeling like for the both of you?
Great. I feel so great. Thanks God. Right? She came out safe, and then I see everybody looks like coming out safe. I'm very glad, happy. Again, I thanks God. Definitely.
And for you, what was it like reuniting with your husband?
Very thankful, very relieved, and like I said, very thankful that everyone is able to, at least the group that came out with me were able to get out safely.
And where were you in the hospital?
I was in blood bank.
And where is that located, if you can kind of give me an idea?
It's in the C building.
In the C building? In the main part of the hospital?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. And did you see anything or hear anything outside?
No, I did not.
Have you talked to police at all, or have they come to you? Did you see police officers or law enforcement inside at the time?
Yes, I saw police when we were walking out, but we didn't talk to them. The focus was to get out. Yeah.
And were you escorted out of the building?
No, we just walked as a group.
Okay, so at that point it was deemed safe for you guys to leave?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Now you guys are going to go home, stay safe. The prayers have been answered. Everything is good. Thank you guys so much, and I'm so happy you made it out.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yes, thanks, man.
Good night. Good day. Bye-bye. So that was Usman and his wife Aisatu. You can see they're very happy that they're together again. Everything is safe. They're going to go home now to their kids, their 2 kids. But she was telling us to kind of recap that she got the call around 2:30 that there was a code silver inside for the building. So they had to lock down in the lab tech in the building C area of the main part of Albany Med, in there for 2.5 hours, just trying to keep herself busy, not think about what could happen. She didn't see or hear anything suspicious inside the building with the about other 10 people that she was in the room with, but she said she did see law enforcement coming in and out, and she was able to make it out safely. They got out of one exit, and everything seems to be good for them right now. But lockdown is still going on overall in Albany Med.
Tessa Bintulin, thank you very much, and it's great to see that couple who was very nervous reunited here this afternoon.
Yeah, great work there, Tessa. Let's go back to Taniqua Penix, who is standing by outside the hospital as well. And Tia, I'm wondering, in the hour or so that you've been there, and we've been live on the air with this, have things changed in terms of what it's looking like outside the hospital, the feel of the amount of law enforcement outside there?
Right, Sabrina, so at the top of the floor, there was a couple cop cars here, but they're all gone now. And I'll say with the heavy police presence kind of dying down, at least from our area, the amount of spectators have also went away. But we did see some people coming out of the hospital, and I spoke to a person who was inside, and he compared it to a school shooting where there's one way in and one way out. Take a listen.
Well, from what I understand, I don't know how true it is. You know, one of the technicians had got a gun pulled on him. So that's as far as I know. And that's when we went into lockdown after that.
What's your role in the hospital?
Oh, I work in EVS.
All right, and then how did you feel hearing about that?
Well, I wasn't really like scared or anything like that because everything went into lockdown, so that means all the doors are locked and you're in a safe place.
And once they went on lockdown, what did they tell you all? Like, I see you're outside now, so how did that happen?
Well, they told us we could leave, but it's just like being in a school shooting, you can only come out one exit, you know, to make sure everybody's safe.
So he tells me he wasn't afraid, but I did talk to someone before that, and they told me they were on edge just with the uneasiness of it all and not knowing exactly what's going on. But again, police did say that there are no injuries to anybody, staff are okay, and patients are okay. For now, reporting live in Albany, Taniqua Penix, News Channel 13 with coverage you can trust. Mark and Sabrina.
Tia Penix, thank you very much. Our live team coverage continues of the lockdown at Albany Med.
Very scary, especially with the nation on edge and the tragedy at an elementary school in Nashville today. And you hear reports like this and everyone right away gets terrified of what possibly could happen.
Fears the worst, yes.
Let's go back to Tessa Bentoul, and she's standing by one more time speaking with someone looking to visit someone at the hospital. Again, Tessa, the hospital tweeting not too long ago to asking visitors to stay away.
Yeah, so Sabrina and Mark, this person is Paul with me, and he was actually inside the lockdown. He was visiting a patient, but he wasn't actually allowed out. So you just got out a few minutes ago.
Yeah,
so
I've been there for, I don't know, top maybe 2:30.
Since 2:30 this afternoon?
Yeah, I was waiting for my girlfriend. She's in, getting a procedure done, and then all of a sudden I hear Cold Silver, and then they just grabbed everybody and put us in the back hallway. And it was weird because we couldn't leave and people were kind of weird.
I mean, it's for your safety, of course. So at that moment,
they didn't give us no information really.
Gotcha. So what was it been like those 2.5 hours since 2:30 you were in there? What was it like? Just in a room at the moment?
Yeah, everybody was just in a room, but...
Did they tell you anything?
No.
And you were just able to leave?
No, we couldn't leave. I wanted to leave. I had to go to the bathroom, and they wouldn't let me go to the bathroom. They had to escort me into another room to go to the bathroom. And I just asked them what was going on, and they said, don't, everything's under control. And then we got an announcement on the thing, Cold Silver is still active. There's an active shooter. But they didn't, that's all they said. Like, they didn't say, but I heard it was in the building C. But
And have
knows.
you, at that time, were you nervous at all? What was your emotion?
I was so nervous, a little bit. I mean, with all this stuff going on in the world, you don't think that it could happen. And all of a sudden, you know, just telling you there's a possible shooter. It's kind of scary.
Well, Paul, thank you so much for joining us. Glad you're out there. So he's gonna head home now. But again, Albany Police got one tip, a credible tip, that there is possibly someone inside the building with a possible handgun of some sorts. They're still looking through the building. So any updates that we can provide with you on that, we will when they let us know. But again, at this moment, it's just a credible threat with someone who is possibly inside the building.
Bentoul, thank you. Let's continue our team coverage now. Let's go to Stella Porter, who's on another side of the hospital, gathering information from people who are on the inside. Stella?
Hey, Mark and Sabrina, I'm in the front of Albany Medical Center right now, and the latest just in the last few minutes here is that employees appear to be streaming out of the building, some of them telling me that some places, some parts of the building were allowed to come out of lockdown. We're not clear on where exactly inside the building that is, but it's clear that some employees who were inside are now able to come out. Earlier, I had spoken to just a few minutes ago a family that was inside. They were visiting their grandfather. He actually passed away today. And on top of that grief, their family then had to deal with being in lockdown with their grandfather as they waited for more information about what was happening outside their hospital room right now. So That is the latest from over here. Hoping to speak with that family as they come out of the hospital for the first time after saying goodbye to their grandfather, being stuck in there, and then on top of going through such an emotional day, having to be in lockdown today. So we'll come to you in just a few minutes with that. But for now, Mark and Sabrina, I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, so much emotion. Stella Porter with that update that it looks like some employees are now being let out in groups as police continue to investigate.
And our coverage continues here. Live at 5 is up next with Elaine Houston and Rachel Teedy.
Breaking news this hour as police are combing through parts of Albany Medical Center after being told by hospital officials that there was possibly someone in the hospital with a gun. Albany police are right now searching for that person.
The hospital went into lockdown at about 2:40 this afternoon, and we have team coverage for you tonight. Taniqua Penix, Stella Porter are standing by. Tessa Bentulin was at the police briefing earlier this afternoon. So Tessa, let's start with you. What can you tell us right now?
Hi, Rachel and Elaine. So we've got a very active police presence still here at one of the main entrances on Albany Med at the corner of New Scotland Avenue and Myrtle Avenue. Josh Morrell, our photographer, is getting some shots for you, panning a little bit. So what we can tell you right now is that press conference was just before 4 o'clock. The Albany Police Department communications person, along with Albany Med's communications person, came out here and told us that they got a tip for a credible threat. Just one call saying that there is possibly someone inside the building, the main building here, with a handgun of some sort. So the Albany Med Hospital, they called a code silver. And by definition for Albany Med, that means that there is someone of a threat inside that building with some sort of a weapon. So they called a code silver around 2:30, 2:45. Some people left the building. We saw a bunch of people outside who were employees with Albany Med just on the sidewalks here, kind of waiting to see if they could get any more answers. That's what they were just told at the moment is that there is a code silver. Some people were corralled into the lockdown and they had to stay into one section of the building. As for the people, the patients, they are safe, they are well, they are okay. No one is in harm's way at this moment. So those patients are doing well, as well as the staff members that are inside the building. Anyone that needs to come to the hospital, someone who may be having an emergency, the emergency room is open at this time. Their situation, their injury will be evaluated as such, and they'll be let in. If for some reason they don't think their injury can be taken at Albany Med right now because of the current situation, they'll divert them to another hospital. But again, they are on lockdown right now. And here's what Steve Smith, Albany's Police Department communications person, had to tell us about safety.
Right now the hospital is on lockdown. All the patients are accounted for. All the patients are safe. Right now all staff are accounted for and all staff are safe. We are just focused on this certain area of the building, determine if in fact there is a person who may have been in possession of a handgun here this afternoon.
So again, nothing is confirmed at this moment. They're still evaluating, still looking into it. They're still in the building. We've seen since 2:45, 3 o'clock is when we got here, and we've seen so many police officers, so many law enforcement coming in and out of here. Right now, we've got one Albany Police squad car out here with his sirens on, or with his lights on, but we saw law enforcement in gear from head to toe up over here, as well as in this area. The second entrance in Albany Med is where we think they're going into. We don't see many people coming out of this main entrance that's in front of me. More to the side entrance over there is where we think that they're going in. But for now, we'll toss it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Tessa, nice work. Thank you. And she mentioned the law enforcement decked from head to toe. We have a picture from inside the hospital sent to us by a viewer, Heather Rose. She says she was inside the emergency room when she snapped this picture of an officer. You can see what he is carrying there, that semi-automatic weapon, it appears. He has the badge on his belt. Of course, this is something that we continue to follow. If you have pictures you would like to send to us, please do so. We may end up using them on air and online. But Taniqua Penix continues our team coverage of the lockdown at Albany Medical Center.
And Tia, you've been there for a while. I know you've been speaking to people who were coming out, people who were just gathering, trying to figure out just what was going on. What can you tell us about that?
Well, Elaine, this heavy police presence has drawn quite the crowd. A lot of curious people just want to know what's going on. Now, some of the police presence that we saw earlier have left, so we don't have as many spectators as we did. But you still see people out walking by, doing a double take, trying to see what's going on. People have their phone out. Everybody just curious why so many police here. Well, we know that there is a lockdown, but I spoke to someone earlier, and this is what they had to say about it.
I don't know what to think. Basically, they said just stay in your place, so I did just that. And my coworkers and I, we just came right now to just kind of see what's going on, because we hear the sirens, the ambulance and everything, so I don't know. It was just crazy.
And that was a person who actually works with the hospital. He works in a different building. So he was telling me that he heard a code and he didn't know exactly what that meant. And just the fear of it all brought him on edge. He stepped outside and then he saw the helicopter and he saw all the police. So he was confused, a little worried. And that pretty much sums up how everyone here outside is feeling right now. Reporting live in Albany, Taniqua Penix, News Channel 13 with coverage you can trust.
All right, Tia, thank you. And that gentleman who was just talking about everything that he saw, all of the police, we know earlier there was a SWAT type truck that was there earlier going into the hospital. We know that state police were also there. Again, listening to the officials there, they're saying that everyone is safe, nothing to worry about when it comes to the employees and people that are there, that they are safe, that they are doing well, but they are still searching for this person. Stella Porter has been keeping an eye on the situation as well.
And Stella, talk to us a little bit about what you've heard. You've been out there for more than an hour now. What can you tell us about what you've seen outside the front of the hospital?
Yeah, hey guys, I'm outside the front entrance on the other side of the building from Tessa and Taniqua, who you just heard from. You can see there's a steady stream of people who we believe are employees coming out of the hospital. Some of them just told me that they're allowed to clear out from part of the hospital. Part of that lockdown has apparently been lifted right now. So lots of employees on the sidewalk outside the front entrance. I did speak to a family that was just able to come out of lockdown as well. Earlier, they had been inside It was a granddaughter, a mother, and their uncle who were inside with their grandfather who had passed away, and they were forced to stay in that room after they had said their goodbyes and wait for this lockdown, wait for updates from the hallway, any information they could get their hands on. So take a listen to some of that conversation where they described the scary moments of not knowing whether this lockdown was real or what was happening.
We were just sitting here, and then they announced that there was a code silver going on, and we thought it was a drill, but then we looked all over Facebook to see if anybody else spoke about it, and we saw that it definitely was not a drill.
Yeah, some really scary moments there for that family, and they were trapped inside for about 2 hours, they tell me, since around 2:30, and they say that it was really emotional, obviously saying goodbye to their grandfather. On top of that, then the family having to wait inside that room for further direction from the hospital. So lots of people inside now able to come out. That is the latest here. For now, I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Stella, thanks so much. Again, if you're just joining us, we are talking about Albany Med, which is on lockdown. This happened just about 3:30 today when they got the cold silver, where they know that means that there's possibly someone there who is armed. Police have been there, state police, the gamut of law enforcement there, and they are searching at this very moment, and we will provide you with an update. But first, we're going to go get a check of the weather.
A sloppy ride could be ahead for some. Chief Meteorologist Paul Kino keeping tabs on it all. Hey, Paul.
Hey, guys. Yeah, we've been steadily watching the clouds thicken this afternoon. Now rain has broken out across the area. Temperatures have been mild enough that we are just talking about rain, at least in the short term here. It's coming down out here on Broadway in Saratoga Springs, where it is 41 degrees. It's actually come down considerably with the onset of the precipitation here on the CDPHP first warning cam. Other locations, you see the blue color, cooler temperatures because it's been raining out here to our west, while the greater Capital District still relatively dry and 49 in Albany. But everyone will drop off as more of this rain heads in. Eventually in the hill towns, the rain will change over to some wet snow. I'm not looking at a big storm here. Most of us will stay all rain in the valley locations, but those hill towns that do get the wet snow are really just a coating up to an inch or two. And you can see over the next several hours, temperatures still mild enough in town to support just plain rain for a while into the night tonight. So it looks like we'll get through the commute fine with just plain rain, and then we'll start talking about a little bit of wet snow. We'll have the complete forecast, including any snowfall accumulations, coming up in just a bit. Rachel.
All right, Paul, thank you. Taking a live look right now at Albany Medical Center under lockdown. We have team coverage on the ground. We'll go out for another live update just ahead.
Oh, get another car. Overnight.
Police are saying, Steve Smith, who represents the Albany Police Department, they're also talking about the fact that they are now letting some people out. So the section that they're looking and they're searching for is different from where they're letting the people out. And those people have had quite the emotional stories to tell about what it's been like to be inside there.
We've heard from so many people today. Our team coverage of Stella Porter, Tessa Bentul, and Tia Penix. I believe we're going to hear from Stella in just a moment, as soon as our producer says that we can head out to her. But they've been talking about the emotion that they've been feeling. They have seen the police officers walking around those halls, hoping that everybody's okay. Again, searching one specific area of the hospital right now. Some people, as you said, able to leave. We are getting word that Tessa Bentul is standing by right now with an update. So let's head out to her. Tessa, you've been talking to people. What can you tell us about what's happening right now?
Hi, Elaine and Rachel. You know, you guys are saying it best that there's people that are being let out here. Some people are just relieved to finally leave the building. I spoke to one man named Usman. He was saying that he was waiting outside for his wife, his wife works at Albany Med as a lab tech, and he was getting text messages from her saying, hey, we're on lockdown, get the kids, pick them up from school, and that was it. And they were kind of texting back and forth every so often, asking her if she's okay, if this is real, and he was here waiting for her, and she was just kind of giving him updates every so often saying, yes, we're on lockdown. And she finally sent him a text message saying, we're leaving soon out of one exit, I will see you in a few minutes. And they reunited right over here. I'm going to have my photographer roll on it. So right on this ramp over here coming down towards the intersection, that's where they were reunited. A bunch of employees were able to get out safely, and when Usman reunited with his wife, I mean, the relief on his face, he just seems so much happier. You know, his heart dropped the moment that he got that text message from her saying that they were on lockdown. She was telling us from inside that she was in the lab. She heard over the speaker that there was a code silver, which by definition for Albany Med means that there's someone inside the building with possibly some sort of weapon. So she was inside for about 2.5 hours in lockdown. So some people able to leave, and we've seen more leaving every so often, some employees. So hopefully we'll get more and more out in the next couple of hours here.
Tessa, thank you so much.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Tessa is talking about just the emotion of the people who have made it out. They were hearing the code silver, nervous, afraid, locked in, and now they're getting an opportunity to be out, and their emotional stories. We're going to go to Stella right now because Stella is on the opposite side of the hospital, and she's talking about people who were, if I'm correct, Stella, they were there with their grandfather, right?
They were, Elaine and Rachel. I've been talking to people who were inside, including a family that was there to see their grandfather, say their goodbyes to him today, and then unfortunately were stuck in a room with him after they said goodbye for a lockdown. So they are now out of the hospital, and you heard from them a few minutes ago by phone, but I want to bring in Rebecca Speenberg right now, who was just able to leave the hospital. Rebecca, how are you feeling right now?
It was a very traumatic situation, but just trying to make the best of it. You know, stuff happens, but this is what we're dealing with. This is life now.
Could you just describe, you came in to see your grandfather, say your goodbyes today. What was that like?
Well, we knew it was coming due to everything that was going on, but it's hard in any circumstances, and then to have this on top of it just makes it 1,000 times worse.
Tell me about the moment that you heard there was a lockdown. How did you hear, and what did you kind of hear and see in that moment?
So he passed away around 2:15, and we were saying our goodbyes and everything, and then as we were going to leave, they were like, you're not allowed to leave. And we were like, what do you mean? And they were like, we're gonna announce something soon. So we were like, okay, I guess, it shouldn't be long. And then they said on the announcement that there was a code silver, and my family and I were like, what do you mean a code silver? We're not hospital people. So we Googled, and we were like, oh, so that's what that is. And then we just found out from other resources of family friends, and just had to stay there for at least 2 hours.
And what was it like inside there? I mean, you told me over the phone that your family was trying to stay light and keep it light in there as much as you could in that type of situation.
Yeah, just, trying to make the most of it. Our family has a pretty good sense of humor with everything, so we're just trying to, nonchalantly be there and everything. And it's hard to say goodbye and then have to stay after you say your goodbyes.
I'm so sorry for what you all are going through. How are you feeling right now, though, able to leave and kind of, finally process what happened today?
It's definitely a relief being able to leave, but after you're sitting there for so long, you kind of are just like, I don't want to leave, even though you're allowed to, because you just want to stay with your loved one as long as you can.
I just can't imagine on top of the grief. Rebecca, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Thinking of you guys, I'm sorry for your loss. All right, guys, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Stella, thanks so much. And it's one thing that she said too, Stella, that is really, something on the forefront of your mind is that, when she heard about this, that's the day and age we live in. And we know that there's another big story out there of a shooting today. And so people, they don't want to be in that situation, but they know that these kinds of things are the things that we deal with every day now. So we're so happy that, she's feeling a little bit better about her loved one.
Absolutely.
Well, today, it's hard to switch gears when you're working on something this tense and this heavy, but the weather was pretty good this morning.
Yeah, it worked out all right for a while. It kind of puts things in perspective, right?
It does.
And a little bit of rain and wet snow now is so low, right?
Yeah.
So we are going to get that. It's already raining in spots. We have some wet snow coming down in spots. We'll show you that. Chances of precipitation are going up as we speak, and it's raining pretty good in some spots right now across the capital region. In fact, after that rain changes over to some wet snow, we're going to get a coating up to 1 inch in a lot of places in the valleys, in particular on grassy surfaces. 1 inch in a lot of places is a lot, right? Most everyone will have less than 1 inch of snow, so it's not going to impact things for the commute. And overnight, this will probably just come and go. Across parts of the hill towns, will be up around 1 or 2 inches, so the higher terrain, you know who you are. You're the folks who got 15, 20, 30 inches of snow from that last storm. You'll get about 1 or 2 out of this one. Moving along smoothly on the Northway right now. It's raining very lightly. Saratoga Springs, it's raining on the CDPHP first warning cam. Notice the temperature has come down to 41. With the onset of the precipitation, temperatures are dropping, but we were so high above freezing that it takes a lot to get us back down. Springfield, by the way out in the Mohawk Valley at 32, and that's why we're seeing some snow there on the first warning live Doppler, while most of the capital region is seeing rain. Here's what it looks like from the New York State Mesonet cam. Springfield, a coating of snow, but this is largely the exception rather than the rule. We have a lot more of that mild air to overcome, so a cold rain for the next few hours, and then the mountains followed by the hill towns as temperatures drop will change over to that wet snow, and that's why I'm expecting a coating up to a couple of inches in the higher terrain and minimal amounts in the valleys. And you could see why right through 8 o'clock, 9, 10, still rain up until midnight, while some of the hill towns get that coating of snow into the nighttime tonight. 32 overnight with rain and snow, back to 47 tomorrow with a mix of sun and clouds. So everything we get tonight, and it's not going to be a lot, will melt off. 52 on Wednesday, Thursday back to 42, and then a milder storm comes in late Friday and into Saturday with some rain, and with any luck we'll hit 60 on Saturday. We'll see. But either way, it looks like Sunday the better of the 2 weekend days.
All right, Paul, thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
And we continue to follow the latest developments at Albany Medical Center, where the medical center is now under lockdown.
This is a live look at the hospital right now. We are going to be hearing from Taniqua Penix, giving us a live update in just a few minutes.
I'm Tessa Bentula, coming up in today's health report, a new study done by the National Institute of Health links some common chemicals to the increased prevalence of eczema.
We continue tonight on a story that we've been following for the past couple of hours, actually. Albany Medical Center is on lockdown right now.
And what we know so far is that a call for a possible armed gunman was inside part of the hospital.
And that's when the hospital went into code silver. That's a code that lets the workers there know that there's possibly a person with a gun there. Albany Police say that the hospital staff and patients are safe. They are accounted for as the search for that person continues at the hospital.
Some of the appointments for patients have been canceled. Hospital is accepting the more serious cases. We heard the helicopter land during Tessa Bentulin's live shot during Live at 4. So emergencies are still being allowed, but your general appointments are being canceled at this point. Let's head out to Taniqua Penix, who is live at the hospital right now. Taniqua, you've been out there for a while now. Tell us what you've learned lately.
Well, Rachel, you mentioned that helicopter. That helicopter is what drew a large crowd to see what's going on. Now the crowd has died down a bit. There's not as many people out anymore, but people just wanted to know what's going on. And one of the questions many people asked is, anyone hurt? We do know from police that no one is hurt, so that's a big relief. I do want to point out that CVS, according to their website, they normally close at 11 o'clock. They're closed now. I was trying to see if I could get in touch with the store manager or someone to find out if they closed because of what's going on at the hospital here. We can only assume, like I said, they normally close at 11. They're closed now. A lot of their workers were out here. They had their phones. Everybody was recording, just trying to see what's going on. To a lot of people's relief, again, police say there are no injuries. I also spoke to someone. She tells me she's never seen anything like this. I talked to a couple employees coming out the hospital. One tells me he's on edge. Another person had a little more insight on what was going on, and later on we'll hear from some of those people. For now, reporting live in Albany, Taniqua Penix, News Channel 13, with coverage you can trust. Elaine and Rachel.
All right, Tia. And Tia makes a great point. If you are just outside walking, you're wondering what in the world is going on. Yeah, it's very nerve-wracking, I can imagine, for people who are actually seeing this action. We're going to switch gears. We're going to come right back to you with more about what's happening at Albany Med, but we're going to go to health right now, and it's a study about eczema.
Tessa Bentulin has our health report.
In today's health report, a new study shows there may be a link between chemicals in the air and eczema. Research from the National Institute of Health shows that common pollutants are likely linked to eczema. Eczema is an itchy, inflammatory skin condition that affects more than 30 million Americans. The National Eczema Association says the condition almost always begins in infancy and peaks in early childhood. However, the cause behind eczema has been a mystery. While genetics tends to play a role, the frequency has increased by 2 to 3 times in industrial countries since 1970. Recently, studies have found that chemicals used in the manufacturing process of many stretchy fabrics and exhaust fumes that are linked closest to the uptick in diagnosis. This recent finding could lead to the development of new treatments. That's today's health report. I'm Tessa Bentulin. Back to you.
Tessa, thank you so much. That is it for Live at 5.
We'll be right back.
At 5:30 begins right now.
Breaking news this hour, we continue as police combing through parts of Albany Medical Center after being told by the hospital that there was possibly someone inside the hospital with a gun. Right now, police are searching for that person.
That hospital went into lockdown at about 2:40 today, and we have team coverage. Taniqua Penix and Stella Porter are standing by. Tessa Bentulin was at the police briefing. All three of them have been speaking to people as they come out of the hospital. They're letting some people come out of the building now. Let's start with Tessa. Tessa, what can you tell us right now?
Hi, Rachel and Elaine. So throughout this past 2 hours, we've been here since 2.5 hours, really. We've been talking with people who are either patients or work at Albany Med, or people who are visiting patients at Albany Med. So I'm joined right now by Ramiro Toledo. You were inside visiting your 7-year-old daughter, who is with your mother right now, and you just stepped outside of Albany Med before that lockdown happened. So what happened right after that?
The police started coming from everywhere, and they just said not to go back in the building. They blocked off all the exits. They said 2 or 3 hours before anybody could get back in, they were letting people out. And people who work, people who were visiting, they were letting them out, but nobody could get in at all.
So you've been pretty much waiting out here since that lockdown went into effect a couple of hours ago. As a father, you have that 7-year-old inside as a patient. How does it make you feel?
I feel worried, you know, somebody is not right now, you know what I mean? And for them to do something like that in the hospital, you know, not think about nobody else, you know, I can't see how they can do that.
And your mother's inside with your daughter right now. She's been texting you. What is she telling you?
She's been telling me that they cleared out the 3rd floor, that they had to turn off all the oxygen and stuff like that. So nothing would happen, you know, the building could blow up or anything, you know what I mean?
Have you been able to call your daughter or call your mother at all?
Yes, I have. And she said my daughter's fine. She's fine. Most of the people are fine because the security has told us that. But like I said, they told us that 2 or 3 hours before we can get in. My daughter has to have a CAT scan done, and she can't have it done now because of the situation.
Yeah. And your daughter's in the hospital for a seizure at the moment, so she's waiting for that CAT scan to happen. And for you, once those doors open for you to go back inside...
I'm running in. I want to see my daughter, you know, see myself that she's okay, my mother's okay, you know, and also everybody else, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so hopefully you'll be able to give her a big hug, your daughter and your mom, in very short time, let's hope. So thank you so much for doing an interview with us. I appreciate it. And so just to kind of recap, that was Ramiro Toledo. He is here outside. He just stepped outside before that lockdown went into effect. And then when he went back to go inside, they said buildings on lockdown, no one is allowed inside. His 7-year-old daughter and his mother are in there right now. They've been telling him that they are okay. He spoke to them on the phone. And as we've been told by Albany Police, as well as Albany Med, is that there is a credible threat for someone inside the building with a possible weapon, a handgun of some sort. So we're still waiting to get that confirmed. If that is true, if any more details will come, we will let you know.
Tessa, thank you so much. And just to reiterate, too, that nobody has been injured in this. Again, the call for a potential gunman in the hospital and one section of it, something that they're looking for that person right now. So no injuries. People are being allowed out of the hospital in certain sections, but nobody being allowed in, as Tessa just reiterated. We do want to switch gears. We're going to hear from Taniqua Penix in just a moment, but let's head over to Reed Kisselback in the Weather Center. It's been a crazy day for everybody, for sure, Reed.
Yeah, crazy day, a hard day for a transition in regards to this, but if you're going to be heading out anytime soon, we do have rain pushing into the region. This is one of our traffic cams, exit 13 on I-87, and you can see the rain starting to come down a little bit more steady, but overall not really slowing traffic down. That's going to be our trend as we work our way through the evening commute. So a very small impact, but you still might need to adjust your speed a little bit. The other case, though, is if you're heading out tonight, especially more so past sunset, when we'll start to see more of that transition over to a wintry mix. We could see a couple slick spots, mainly in our higher elevations in place. We're not going to notice that right away because we warmed up so much earlier in the day. So if we take a look at the current temperatures outside, on the New York State Mesonet sites, you can see 48 in Voorheesville, 44 in Schaghticoke, 39 in Ballston Spa. Where it's been raining a little bit longer, out in the Mohawk Valley into the Adirondacks, you're seeing we're starting to cool down a little bit more. Cobleskill at 41, 37 in Johnstown, 33 in Piseco, and 44 in Medusa right now. Temperature change, you can see that colder air already starting to surge in our area now, starting to see the temperatures drop off a little bit more as that rain's starting to come into play here, averaging about 5 degrees colder than 24 hours ago. We still have a way to go with this. This won't be clearing out really more so until tomorrow morning, but as we zoom on in over our region, we're seeing a little bit of some wet snow in parts of the southern Adirondacks, northern Mohawk Valley, and more so the rest of us are dealing with just rain at the moment. As the temperatures continue to steadily drop, though, we will see that eventually we'll get majority of our areas to transition over to a wintry mix at least, and the last of us seeing that change over in the very early morning hours of Tuesday morning before we do clear on out. Paul's going to have a look at how much we can expect with this and when exactly it clears out, what's in store for Tuesday, coming up in a little bit. Rachel and Elaine.
All right. Thanks so much, Reed. And still thinking about the gentleman that we just heard from. You know, we've talked to people who were allowed to come out of the building. We know that people are still in the building, but imagine you're there for your daughter.
Yeah, to get a CAT scan.
You take a step out for some air, and now you can't get back in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the lady that Stella spoke to earlier saying that they were at the hospital today to say their final goodbyes to her grandfather, then they weren't allowed to leave. So she was saying it was a bit of a hard day, obviously, for two separate reasons. But then she said, you know what, we didn't want to leave after that. As much time as possible spent with our grandfather as possible, they wanted. So definitely a hard situation for everybody today.
Right, and Taniqua Penix is also standing live outside, and she's talking to people who are just looking around, live near there, walking past there. What do you know, Tia?
Hey, Elaine, I spoke to like 6 or 7 people. Unfortunately, we can't actually hear from them. But just to reiterate some of the things they tell me, they're on edge. They were confused, just wanting to know what's going on. Now, that crowd has died down, not too much from the people here. But again, people just had a lot of questions. They want to know what's going on. We do know the hospital is on lockdown. Police tell us there are no injuries. One person tells me they're sending out prayers because that was their biggest concern, is anyone hurt. So we know from police, no one is hurt. Staff are okay. We saw some of those people coming outside. I was able to talk to a couple. One person told me he was on edge. He heard cold silver. What does that mean? He walks outside. He sees the heavy police presence. He sees the helicopter. So he had a lot of concerns and a lot of fear. But right now, that's all we have from the people. Like I said, the crowd has died down. I'll have an update for you later on at 6. For now, reporting live in Albany, Taniqua Penix, News Channel 13 with coverage you can trust. Back to you guys.
All right, Tia, thank you. And this has been going on for a number of hours. And earlier today, after we had gotten phone calls, people telling us what they thought was going on, what their relatives inside were telling them, those relatives had given them a call saying something's going on here. And we also heard from Albany Police, so we want to share that press conference that was earlier today.
This was from the spokesperson, Steve Smith, as well as hospital administrators sharing information at about 3 o'clock today about what the latest was at that moment.
Around 2:40 this afternoon, the Albany Police Department received a call for a person who inside the hospital who may have been in possession of a handgun. Our officers immediately responded. They coordinated with Albany Med Security. Lockdown procedures were put in place, and right now we're focused on a certain area of the hospital where this person was last seen. We're conducting an investigation. We know right now that there are no staff that are in harm's way. All patients are taken care of, and right now, again, we're just focused on this certain area of the hospital to determine if, in fact, there is a person there who may be in possession of a handgun. So this could take a little bit of while. I know there's a large police presence here. That is not unordinary for these types of circumstances. Obviously, we're dealing with a very large building with a lot of employees, and we have patients here. So right now, the hospital is on lockdown. All the patients are accounted for. All the patients are safe. Right now, all staff are accounted for, and all staff are safe. We are just focused on this certain area of the building, determine if, in fact, there is a person who may have been in possession of a handgun here this afternoon.
We are getting reports on that certain part of the building. Do you want to elaborate on that, or is that something that's still off the record at this point?
Yeah, right now we're just I don't want to get into too many details in the investigation, but this situation is completely isolated. Our officers are focused on one certain section of the building. But again, all staff in that building and all patients in that building have been accounted for and are safe.
So just a little bit more about what was going on inside. So we called a code Silver, which is a safety code that we have as soon as we learn of any potential that there may be an armed assailant within the hospital. And within seconds, our staff moved very quickly to make sure that they were safe, their colleagues were safe, and patients were safe as well. So I can tell you at this time, the hospital is safe. patients are safe, and staff are safe as well. So patient care does continue behind us for the patients who are in the hospital right now. We have canceled some outpatient medical appointments for the afternoon, but you may have seen a helicopter landed earlier. We are still receiving patients as needed based on how critical their condition is, because we know we are the referral center for the Capital Region, and we know that our doors need to stay open for patients who need us, and the hospital is safe.
Can you go over what a code silver is and the procedure that is entailed for that?
So a code silver is called if there is a potential armed assailant in the hospital. There are a number of safety codes that we use every day in the hospital. At just about the time Steve mentioned earlier, at about 2:30, that code was called, and at that time staff moved into a safe place. Staff moved to work with patients as necessary to keep them in a safe place. This is something we train for all the time, particularly with Albany Police. We have a great relationship with Albany Police. We learn a lot from each other, and those drills that we plan for, we put into effect today to have a safe afternoon here at the hospital.
But you're still trying to locate the person.
Yeah, right now we're just focused on a certain area within the hospital to try to determine if somebody is in fact in that area. Could take a little while. We have highly trained police officers here. We have negotiators here. So hopefully, within the next couple hours, we'll have more information and we'll be able to provide an update.
So what was the credible tip that made you call this lockdown for you guys to come out here?
We had a tip, and the tip was that somebody was inside this hospital who may have been in possession of a handgun. So right now we're trying to determine if somebody was in possession of a handgun at this hospital. Obviously, we want to err on the side of caution. A lockdown was immediately put in place, and we have already started our investigation in that specific area. So I can't get into too many specific details right now, but we will provide an update.
Are you able to share if the shots were fired? Was any evidence of that?
There were no shots fired.
Did that weapon get pulled on anybody, or was it just brandished as a threat?
Yeah, right now the investigation is still ongoing. That's something we'll determine throughout the investigation. So, but we'll be providing an update later once we have more.
Can you just give us a little detail into how you're sweeping the building? What the procedure that goes into sweeping a building of this magnitude?
Yeah, I don't want to get into too many specific details right now, but we are focused on a specific area right now within the hospital. The rest of the hospital, as Matt said, is operating as normal. Patients are being taken care of. All hospital staff are accounted for and are safe, and operations are still currently underway. So we'll provide more information we have, but right now the Albany Police Department, as long as our law enforcement partners are here, and we're going to just continue our investigations.
I saw some people waiting outside, so the emergency room is now open. People will come in.
The emergency room is on lockdown, but we'll be receiving patients as necessary based on the critical nature of their condition as they come in from various places. Another thing I want to mention is that we've got a lot of buildings down here. So a lot of our staff work in 22 New Scotland. That's also a clinic location. Those buildings, patients and staff can move in and out of freely at this time.
Are any people getting diverted at this point? I know you said that certain people are being told that their procedures are not available to them today.
We have had to divert some ambulances, but again, if we're in touch with the ambulance crews throughout the community and there's a case that only can be handled here, we will take that patient. If there are other hospitals that may be able to step in for us, we certainly welcome that. We have a great relationship with St. Peter's and our other hospitals in the community, but if it's a case only we can do, we will accept that patient.
Is there anyone in that lockdown right now? Any people in there at that time? Any numbers you can give us?
Yeah, I don't want to get into too many specifics right now, but again, we're just focused on one certain area, and no staff, no patients are in harm's way.
And that video was earlier, but there is a much more current press conference actually about to start, correct?
Happening right now. Let's go right out live and take a listen.
All set? Okay. Everybody's good? All right, just want to come out real quick with Matt and just do a quick briefing. This is still a very active scene and an active investigation, but we just want to make sure we're dispelling some of the misinformation that's out there. So just to reiterate, around 2:40 this afternoon, the Albany Police Department received a call for a person inside the hospital who may have been in possession of a handgun. Our officers immediately responded, speaking with security personnel. Lockdown procedures were automatically put in place. We have since isolated this incident to one specific room within the hospital where we believe the subject of this investigation is inside of, and communication is currently taking place with that individual to try to end this thing peacefully. So this could take a little bit. We have many police officers on the scene here, which is common for these types of incidents. The hospital was on lockdown. Matt could speak a little bit more about what's going on right now with the hospital and its operations.
Yeah, thanks, Chief. So we did go on a code silver, as we called it earlier, which means there was a potential of an armed assailant within the hospital. Overhead announcements were made. All staff members received that notification and moved very quickly to make sure they and our patients were safe. And I can tell you right now, almost at 6 o'clock, the hospital is a safe place to receive care. We did divert ambulances for about 2 hours, but we have started to receive ambulances again. So anybody in the region who needs care at Albany Med can receive it right now. That was very important to us. We know as the only level 1 trauma center in the region that these are services some of our community members can only receive here. So that was a priority for us to make sure we could give care to everybody who needed it. And that includes the people in the hospital right now. So care in the hospital does continue without interruption. The unit in question is safe. Everybody has been moved who may need to be moved to another location. And as Steve and I were talking about earlier, these are drills that we train for regularly. And we can't say enough about the staff who have made sure that this is a safe place to receive care tonight. So that continues. Staff are coming back into the building. If they work an overnight shift, they'll be asked to go through what's called the B entry. So we've limited to 1 entry and exit through the building for tonight. Staff who may still be here are being asked to remain here until relief in the form of the next shift staff comes in.
Can you give us any information on the person that you're interviewing right now? Male, female, age, anything at all?
Yeah, I don't want to get into too many specifics right now, but we do have identified a specific room where that individual is supposedly in, and we're having conversations with them right now to try to end this thing peacefully. As Matt was saying, if you can envision a hospital unit, the unit is completely clear of patients, completely clear of staff. We now have Albany police officers around this room trying to negotiate and speak with the person to try to end this thing peacefully. So it's going to take a little while. People can expect to see a large police presence here at the hospital as we continue to ensure that people remain safe here.
Are you still? What's the individual location of the hospital?
Again, we're not going to get into too many specifics right now, but again, we're focused our operation right now on a specific room within a unit of the hospital. As Matt and I were saying, all staff are accounted for and safe, all patients are accounted for and safe, and hospital care continues to take place here at Albany Med.
Are you hostages?
We have nothing to indicate that there's a hostage situation going on there.
Are you still in lockdown?
We are formally in lockdown at this time, yes, but staff who needs to come in to care for patients overnight is being asked to do so through a single entrance. Staff that's here now may go home when their relief comes for the night. We are also asking that visitors stay home. Visiting hours go for a little bit longer tonight, but we're asking everybody to stay home just to ensure everybody's safety.
And this person acted alone?
Right now, the investigation is still on. But right now, our primary focus is to...
And a number of things. You're just watching this press conference with Steve Smith and a hospital representative giving us some updates on some things. They are now searching one particular room, and they believe that they are talking to a person right now.
And this is something that has been happening since about 2:40. The hospital went into a code silver, and that was a call for a potential armed person in the hospital. Steve Smith now saying that they are talking to one person, as Elaine said, in a specific room. They said there are no indications that there are any hostages, but they do hope that this is something that can end peacefully. But the hospital administrator saying that the hospital is a safe place to receive care if you need it tonight.
In fact, they said that the ambulances are coming in now. They are allowing them to come back in, and they also talked about the night shift being able to come to work tonight.
Yes, they said there's one entrance, one exit that staff are being allowed to come in. We are going to dip back into the presser right now. Let's take a listen in.
About the staff is that we do have resources available for staff. If they need somebody to talk to, we have an EAP program that the hospital can connect somebody with if they need to talk to. It's certainly been an unusual afternoon, but the one thing about our staff is that even if you think about just the last 3 years, the amount of challenges that our staff face every day, they're made to deal with unusual situations, and we really can't say enough about the folks who are behind us tonight, helping provide care the same way we do 24/7.
A handgun, you said that was in your tweet, that there's possible handgun use.
That's what the call came in, as a person inside the hospital who may have been in possession of a handgun. So we're trying to determine if in fact the person was in possession of a handgun. Again, we're focused on one room where the subject of this investigation is supposedly inside of. We're having communications right now to try to end this thing peacefully. So,
can you say what this individual is, demanding or asking, or why?
I don't know. Right now, our primary concern is to get them out safely, and again, to ensure that the staff at the hospital here remains safe and every patient here remains safe. So, we'll provide more updates when we have it, hopefully soon. All right? Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Again, that was Steve Smith with Albany Police and a hospital administrator as well, talking about the situation at Albany Med, the lockdown that's been happening since about 2:40. Again, reiterating that they have identified a person in a room. It's something that we continue to bring you team coverage on.
And they say it may take some time, so that just lets us know that they want to try to talk this person down.
Yes, do it right. Yes.
Yeah, we'll be right back after the break.
Tonight, News Channel 13 salute Scott McFerrin of Argyle. He served in the Navy during the Persian Gulf War.
After the war, he served at Camp David for the past 23 years. Scott has served his community as a police officer in Washington County.
We salute him and we thank him for his service. We are following breaking news at Albany Medical Center, a lockdown since about 2:40, and we just heard from police, Steve Smith, the spokesperson, and a hospital administrator, talking about how they do have a person isolated in a room that they are talking to that is related to this lockdown.
And they also talked about it might take some time, so it makes you infer that they are taking their time trying to talk this person down, trying to reason with this person. They also talked about the second shift. They were not letting anybody in, but they're letting the second shift come to work now, and the ambulances can return as well. So things have started to change.
Yes, they said the hospital is a safe place to receive care tonight if you need it. Nobody is in danger, they say. There have been no injuries reported. We have team coverage to come, but in the meantime, we are going to head over to Chief Meteorologist Paul Cayano.
All right, guys, we've been tracking this latest storm, and you can see it's raining steadily now as expected here on the Northway exit 13 up in Saratoga Springs at Route 9. Kind of a wet ride home here, at least in Saratoga County. Other places, not so much rain in downtown Albany. Just stepped outside. It's dry still, but it's coming down in Amsterdam. And again, we're talking about just plain rain, but look at that temperature now down to 37 on the CDPHP first warning cam. It's also 37 at Dwaynesburg, 38 at Breakers, and 32 in Springfield. I'm going to show you a shot from here in a moment to show you what is going on out where the temperatures have dropped. Meantime, 40s and dropping locally, so a cold rain coming down. If it hasn't started yet where you are, it'll start shortly, and we're expecting that cold rain to last into the night before changing over to some wet snow. So we mentioned Springfield out by Utica, south of the thruway, and you can see how the snow is coming down and we have a coating on the ground. Some places in our area will look like this overnight and first thing tomorrow morning as temperatures continue to cool, first in the mountains, then in the hills, and eventually all the way down to the valley floor. But by that time, not a whole lot left as we have a few hours of precipitation right through midnight to go. But notice, even in the greater capital district, temperatures will still only get down to around 39 by midnight. So we have a little ways to go after that before we can start to see the snow accumulate. Nonetheless, a coating is possible, especially on the grass, on existing snowpack, maybe up to an inch in spots, but I'm thinking that's going to be the exception. The best chance for an inch or two, of course, over our hills and mountains, which typically see more in these types of situations. But you note the valley through 8, 9, 10 o'clock through midnight, plain rain with cold temperatures in the hills and mountains getting some wet snow. And this will all wind down before the sun comes up tomorrow morning. 32 overnight with that rain and snow mix. Again, a coating up to an inch or two in the hills and mountains, very little in the valleys, including the Tri-Cities. 47 tomorrow, so whether you get an inch or a tenth of an inch, it's going to melt off with a mix of sun and clouds. 7-day planner showing some more sunshine. Actually, a pretty good looking day on Wednesday. 52, a little cooler but dry on Thursday. 42. Friday, another system heads our way at 47, all the way up to 58 on Saturday. More of a spring-like feel, but that will also bring with it some rain. Right now, Sunday looking to be the drier of the two weekend days, kind of like the weekend we just went through. Sunday better than Saturday.
All right, Paul, thank you. And we're going to get a live look at Albany Med right now, where we have been for the last 2.5 hours now talking about the lockdown going on there.
We just heard from police and a spokesperson from the hospital talking about how they have isolated a suspect in a certain room. They are talking to them as we speak. Again, they are reiterating that the hospital is a safe place to be tonight.
So let's go now to Sabrina Dami. She has a look at what's happening at Live at 6.
Elaine, Rachel, our live team coverage of the lockdown at Albany Medical Center will continue. We have the newest information coming in from the hospital as well as police, as you just heard. Also, live updates from our reporters at the scene right now. Live at 6 is next.
Albany. News Channel 13 live at 6 begins right now.
Our breaking news coverage continues right now. I'm Sabrina Dami.
And I'm Mark Mulholland. Albany Medical Center is on lockdown as police negotiate with a person believed to have a gun. We have team coverage live at the hospital.
We are speaking with people who were locked inside the hospital. We're hearing the latest from police right now as well. Tense moments inside the hospital. We have images from there as the law enforcement came in and patients standing by.
That was the emergency room. The picture you're looking at on your screen. Police with a long gun as this all unfolded. We've been bringing you live team coverage all afternoon. Let's begin our 6 o'clock report now with Tessa Bentulin, who is live at Albany Med. Tessa.
Hi, Mark and Sabrina. We just finished another press conference with Albany Police as well as Albany Med. They are still in a lockdown right now, Albany Med, but they are telling us they nailed it down to one room at Albany Med, but they are not releasing the identity of the person right now. Let's take a look at the situation right now. We've still got an Albany police car out here. The scene has died down a bit from when it was at 4 and 4:30 and 5, but they isolated that person in a room, and they're interviewing them right now. This could take a couple of hours, police tell us. At the moment for Albany Med, they're saying no visitors are allowed. Staff can come in and go as they please. One entrance available for them to come in and out. This is a safe place to receive care is what Albany Med is saying. No injuries have been reported from this lockout situation here. And we're also being told that there is nothing that indicates that this is a hostage situation. So we're still learning more details about this. Steve Smith, Albany's Police Department's public information officer, he tweeted out saying that there was a possible handgun involved in this. I asked about that, and he's still telling us that they're still looking into that. So here's what else he had to say during that press conference.
We have since isolated this incident to one specific room within the hospital where we believe the subject of this investigation is inside of, and communication is currently taking place with that individual to try to end this thing peacefully.
So again, this could take a few hours for Albany Police and other law enforcement to interview that person. We also asked if that person acted alone. We didn't get a clear answer. They said they're still looking into everything. This investigation is still very much ongoing at this moment, but all the patients, they are safe at the moment. And again, this is a safe place to receive care. So if you do need to come to Albany Med as a patient, you are allowed to. And as for those staffers, Albany Med is also saying that they are giving them resources to talk to someone about what they saw today, because this is a very unique situation that went on. Mark and Sabrina, we'll toss it back to you guys for now.
Tessa Bentulin bringing us live coverage all afternoon. Tessa, thank you. And that one piece she focused on about is this a hostage situation? We have received a lot of comments from people questioning that, and police saying right now that it does not appear to be, but we'll of course keep you updated. Albany Medical Center giving us the latest information at that press conference, also releasing this statement saying Albany Medical Center remains on lockdown while Albany Police investigate a suspected weapon in an isolated area on the campus. All patients and staff are safe and accounted for.
Their statement continues. Our staff took immediate action this afternoon to activate our emergency procedures to ensure the safety of their patients and colleagues. Patients within the hospital are continuing to receive care while we are diverting some patients as the region's level 1 trauma center. We're continuing to accept the most critically injured or ill patients. Our coverage continues there as we talk to people both inside and outside Albany Medical Center Hospital.
Let's go to Stella Porter right now, standing by live outside Albany Med. Stella.
Yeah, good evening, Mark and Sabrina. I'm outside the front of Albany Medical Center right now, where police just told us that a person is barricaded inside a room. But here outside the front, staff and patients, anyone is coming and going pretty easily right now. And, you know, obviously this impacted people visiting loved ones inside today, patients and their families, including a woman I spoke to, Rebecca Speenberg, and her family thought they had said goodbye to her grandfather for the last time. Then they were forced to stay and make that goodbye that much longer and more emotional for her family. We just interviewed her live as they came out of lockdown, were able to leave, and she and her family described what it was like to be in that lockdown and then come out with her grandfather, who had just passed away a few minutes earlier.
It's definitely a relief being able to leave, but after you're sitting there for so long, you kind of are just like, I don't want to leave, you know, even though you're allowed to, because you just want to stay with your loved one as long as you can.
Yeah, just a really tough situation she's describing there. Anyone who's had to say goodbye to a relative knows how much more complicated and how much more difficult a situation like this could make it. Luckily, her family, they are from Katsaki, and they're able to head home tonight, hopefully find some closure and some peace after what she says was a very traumatic day at the hospital for them. We're live in Albany. Stella Porter, News Channel 13. Mark, Sabrina, back to you.
Stella, thank you. And all this began at around 2:30 this afternoon when the hospital went in lockdown, and Albany Med initiated what is called a Code Silver. Now, a Code Silver is the response initiated when an individual is wielding or firing a weapon and or holding a hostage. It could be any parts of that particular initiative. Now, we have spoken to people who were affected as patients. We've spoken this afternoon to people who are staff of Albany Med, and we continue our live coverage now as well.
Taniqua Penix joining us right now. She has been speaking with people right outside the hospital all afternoon. Tia, what are you learning right now?
Hey, Sabrina. Well, a lot of the people that were out here earlier just kind of observing have left, but they had a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, and one of those main concerns were, are there any injuries? Is anyone hurt? I mean, they step outside, they see the helicopter outside, heavy police presence, so a lot of people were just shocked. And I spoke to a couple of staff coming out of the hospital. One person tells me he was on edge. He heard the Code Silver. He didn't know exactly what that meant. He stepped outside and he saw the heavy police presence. Another person just delivering food with DoorDash. She sees everything going on. A lot of people just surprised and confused. Take a listen.
I don't know what to think. Basically, they said just stay in your place, so I did just that. And my coworkers and I, we just came right now to just kind of see what's going on, because we hear the sirens, the ambulance and everything, so I don't know. It was just crazy.
And the hospital is still on lockdown, but staff are able to come in and out. There's one entrance they could go in and out of. Police tell us there were no injuries. Everyone is safe. Like I said, the crowd that was out here earlier, they've all dispersed and they're gone. But people still have questions, and we're here to provide answers. Reporting live in Albany, Taniqua Penix, News Channel 13 with coverage you can trust. Mark and Sabrina.
Tia Penix, thank you very much. And of course, inside is a much different story, perhaps in that one floor or that one room where police say they have a person isolated who may or may not have a handgun. So a very tense moment going inside. But again, Albany Med and the Albany Police Department reiterating that patients and staff are all safe and accounted for.
This all started again around 2:30 this afternoon. Our live team coverage will continue as we continue to gather more details from the scene there. We'll bring you the latest coming up next.
Stay with us. Switching gears to weather now for just a moment. Paul told us that the rain was likely to start in our area around 4 or 5 o'clock.
Let's find out. Chief Meteorologist Paul Cayano, spot on as usual.
Coming down in spots, steadily in spots. Just rain right now. No wet snow, but that's coming also for for places across the capital region. Notice outside in Amsterdam, it's been raining, and that temperature is steadily falling. I mean, Amsterdam, even just 90 minutes ago, it was well into the 40s. Now it's 36. It's 46, but still dry in downtown Albany. So it hasn't started here just yet in the metro, but a lot of other places seeing the rain. You could see it on the First Warning Live Doppler. I mean, downtown Albany, it's going to start raining in about 10 minutes. So you're going to get it. And you see how the darker greens are showing up in the Schoharie Valley and I-88. That's moving in for some steadier cold rain. And as that rain comes down and temperatures drop, more of us are going to start to see some wet snow mixing in, first in the higher terrain, then in the hill towns, and then maybe even eventually toward the end of everything on the valley floor, which could coat the ground in spots. But the bottom line is the next few hours will probably just be a cold rain in most spots, with some places going over to that wet snow, cold rain mix as temperatures dip back into the 30s. We'll have much more on who should get what overnight tonight with that wet snow, what it means for the rest of the week, details, and the complete forecast coming up. Sabrina.
Paul, thank you. Let's go back to our live team coverage of the lockdown at Albany Medical Center. Police right now saying they're speaking to one individual who may have a gun isolated in a room.
Let's get the very latest now from Tessa Bentulin live outside Albany Med. Tessa.
Hi, Mark and Sabrina. So again, they isolated this down to one room and one person. They will not, Albany Police will not identify if this is a male or a female or any sort of age at all, but they say they're interviewing them right now. This could take a while. This scene right now, it's really died down to this. So just one Albany Police car out in the front here. We've got a few down over there on the other end of the entrance of Albany Med. But it was much more of an active scene a few hours ago. But still, again, they are in lockdown. No visitors are allowed inside the building anymore. They haven't been for the past couple of hours. And we've seen a lot of employees come and go here at Albany Med, and some people are coming in for second shift. They are allowed to, relieving the other people of their duty, but we've seen so many people come in and out just kind of relieved that they are okay, that they can leave. We spoke to a couple who's Usman, his name was. He was waiting for his wife to come outside from Albany Med, and they were so happy to just be together again. Everything was okay, but right now, again, thankfully, we have not heard of any injuries. No injuries have been reported at this moment. Reporting live here in front of Albany Med, Tessa Bentulin, Mark and Sabrina.
Tessa Bentulin, great work out there today. With thousands of employees, Albany Med is one of the largest private employers in the capital region. So that's why there's so much focus and so much attention on the situation there this afternoon and evening.
And it's still not over, as Tessa said. It's dying down, but we have more to learn, so we will continue our team coverage when we return. He served at Camp David, and for the past 23 years, Scott has served his community as a police officer in Washington County. We salute him and we thank him for his service.
Continuing our live team coverage of the big story of the day, the lockdown after a code silver at Albany Medical Center Hospital.
Let's go back to Taniqua Penix live outside the hospital as police continue to investigate right now. Tia.
Hey, Sabrina, well, I saw more people coming out, and we spoke with police. They tell us that the hospital is still on lockdown, but staff are able to come and go as they please. I spoke to one person coming out earlier, and he described it as a school shooting where there's one way in and one way out. Police tell us there's been no injuries, but earlier there was quite a scene outside as people were mesmerized by the heavy police presence and everything going on. You saw a helicopter fly up, then you had heavy police presence, police with guns. So there was a lot of confusion. People had a lot of questions. What exactly is happening here? Police say this is pretty standard for them whenever there's a situation. It's normal for them, but it's not normal to the people that are walking by. So I saw a lot of people walking either on their way from home or just walking around the neighborhood and kind of doing a double take at all the activity that they saw going on. But we have an update from police. They say there's no injury, but it is still a lockdown situation. For now, reporting live in Albany, Taniqua Penix, News Channel 13 with coverage you can trust. Back to you guys.
Tia Penix, thank you. And no one injured. In fact, no shooting at all. No
That's
shooting.
Right.
I think the person she was talking about had described what it was like to be ushered out, sort of single file through one door.
The confusion, the fear surrounding it, but police have been saying all along, as well as the hospital, patients and staff are safe. Let's get a check on your forecast right now. We're talking about rain and maybe some interesting mix.
Yeah, we have a mix coming, some wet snow for some folks, and I don't think it's really going to amount to much, and a lot of it's just going to melt off, but noteworthy. It could come through overnight while folks are out and about a little bit, but right now we see this cold rain. This is out on the Northway at exit 13. It's been raining like this here for the better part of the last hour or so. We've had a wet ride home in portions of Saratoga County and other places as well. But look what's going on in Schenectady right now. Still dry. We don't have any rain coming down at the moment. We had a quick passing shower or two, and it's down to 41 degrees. But for the most part, it hasn't really come into the Tri-Cities just yet. CDPHP first warning cam showing the thick cloud cover and the steady traffic here on Erie Boulevard. And I think more than anything else, we're going to see that cold rain. Temperatures starting to drop back. Look at Ballston Spa, where it's been raining 38. Duanesburg, it's been raining at 36. Springfield, way out here in Herkimer County, 32, and that's noteworthy because we've seen some wet snow accumulating out that way. Right here, just rain, and you see the circle here, right in downtown Albany up to Schenectady over to Troy. Still dry, but plenty more precipitation to come from down here in the I-88 corridor that'll be heading across really starting in the next half hour or so, and then starting to come down steadily right on into the nighttime period. Here's that Springfield shot I was talking about. Wet snow coming down, already a coating on the ground. I think some places in our area, the hills, the mountains, will look like this overnight tonight as temperatures drop back and all of this precip comes on through. So we have several more hours in the valleys, mostly a cold rain, in the hills and mountains, some of that wet snow, and you could see how the temperatures will steadily slide back through the 40s and 30s. This is for Albany and the Tri-Cities, 39 degrees at midnight. That's not going to do it. We're still going to see rain well into the night locally, but as we see things cool off a bit more quickly in the hills and mountains, that's why we're talking about a coating up to an inch in a lot of places, especially the hills and mountains, maybe a small coating on the ground in the valleys at the tail end of this thing, but you really need to be up in the higher terrain to get even an inch or two out of this latest system. And you can see all the rain coming by through 8 or 9 o'clock. The hill towns, the higher terrain, the best chance at getting snow, and then on the tail end around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe a quick shot of a coating of snow on the grass, even in the valley location. So down to 32 tonight. with rain and snow, back to 47 tomorrow. So let's say you're one of those places that gets 2 inches of snow tonight. It's going to be gone by tomorrow around lunchtime. 47 later in the day with a mix of sun and clouds. 52 Wednesday, a little cooler but dry Thursday, 42. Another system late Friday into Saturday. It looks like rain with this one, as temperatures all the way up close to 60 on Saturday despite the wet weather. And if you're looking for the drier of the 2 weekend days right now, that looks to be on Sunday.
Okay. Thanks, Paul. When we come back, we'll bring you more live team coverage on the ongoing lockdown at Albany Medical Center, including an update on where reporting staff should go when they get there this evening.
Albany Medical Center tweeting just minutes ago, staff reporting for their shifts tonight are being asked to enter through the B2 bridge. Again, the hospital still operating under a lockdown situation after reports of someone possibly with a gun a few hours ago.
We've been following this situation now for nearly 3 hours. Tessa Bentulin was among the very first reporters on the scene. She continues our coverage there now live. Tessa, good evening.
Good evening, Mark and Sabrina. It doesn't very much look like an active scene right now, but it still is. I want to just have my photographer zoom in to the top of the hill there in Albany Med. You can see that white van. You see about 2 to 3 officers decked in gear with guns on them. We've seen a lot of law enforcement go into the entrance that is right over there, heading into the Albany Med facility. So we've also been told, you know, they nailed it down, Albany Police, to one room in Albany Med. They're not giving us an identity of this person that they're interviewing right now, which could take some time. They've isolated this person in a room. We were also told that over a tweet from Albany PD that this person could have potentially handgun on them. They would not confirm if that is true and if they're still looking into that right now. At the time, for anyone that wants to come to Albany Med to visit someone, a patient, Albany Med said there's no visitors at this time. This is about the time that, you know, it's kind of the staff change when the night shift is coming in. So all staff can come in. It is safe to do so. There are no injuries reported. All the staff will go into one entrance that is available to them, as well as they are going to have some resources for a lot of the staff, because again, this has been such a very unique, different situation for a lot of the people who work at Albany Med. A lot of the patients too may have not have seen something like this before, because it is again still on lockdown. So resources will be provided to them to kind of talk about what went on today. And we're also seeing to the right of me, we're seeing people kind of exit Albany Med just a little bit, leaving the area. So everyone's just kind of coming and going. We still have Albany PD out in the front here. No one allowed into the building if you're just a regular person. As for any patients needing to come, the facility is open. Albany Med is open. Patients are allowed to come in for about 2 hours at one point during the day. Albany Med says they were diverting any ambulances to other hospitals, but that is not happening anymore. All patients can come in. It is a safe place to receive care tonight. Reporting live here in front of Albany Med, Tessa Bentulin, Mark and Sabrina, back to you.
Tessa, thank you. Great work over there today. Paul's going to have a last look at the forecast and that messy weather this evening.
But first, let's check in with Rachel Teedy to find out what's new for tonight. Rachel.
Mark and Sabrina keeping tabs on the breaking news at Albany Medical Center. The lockdown prompting the police presence. We'll bring you live updates on that situation tonight live at 9 and 11.
An announcement over the PA for people to remain in place. We heard from a hospital employee who said she was told to stay away from windows, lock the doors, similar to a lockdown situation we might see in a school. This is a picture sent to us by someone who was in the emergency room this afternoon. Police coming through the ER with long guns. Certainly a frightening situation if you're not sure what's going on there.
Police, the latest update from police is that they have this individual in an isolated area in one room, and that conversation with that person is happening right now. They have said all along this afternoon that everyone in the hospital, patients, staff, everyone is safe, and care did continue inside the hospital, patient care.
Hospital employees working the night shift are being told to report through the B2 bridge to get into the hospital tonight. Again, trying to limit the doors, the entrances and exits to the hospital as police continue with this situation of a barricaded individual within a room within a section of Albany Medical Center Hospital, which they're not currently identifying publicly.
Our coverage will continue this evening on 9 and 11 tonight, and we'll of course update you on social media and on our website as well. But for now, a last look at the forecast, Paul.
Yeah, it's going to get a little sloppy. Rain right now, a cold rain as temperatures drop. We were so high, up around 50 today, but it's dropping as we speak with that the rain coming down across the area, eventually changing to some wet snow as we go down to 32. Accumulating snow mainly in the hills and mountains, and even here just an inch or two, maybe a light coating on the grass in the valleys. It'll all melt tomorrow, 47, and then even milder on Wednesday, up to 52.
Paul, thank you. Nightly News is next. More news at 9 o'clock and 11. The latest on the situation outside Albany Medical Center.
You can always find us online at WNYT.com. Thanks for sharing your time with us.
Have a great night.
you do? Text me. Okay. Okay. What's that? Yeah. What is it? I'm not too sure. It's I think a man with barricaded or something. Nobody's in danger. In the hospital. I'm not too sure where. Thank you. That's it. Thank you. That's all. I'm sorry, man. Did you like the great camera work that me and Tessa and everybody were doing, or what? That's right, team. soon. I think it's going to start to rain. Are we staying somewhere? How long are we staying for? I just want to stay to the 9. I don't want to stay to the 11. I mean, if I stay to the, I don't have any food out here or nothing. But if I stay to the 11, I don't want to come in until 11 o'clock. Okay. And it's gonna, no, nothing. And it's gonna start to rain too. Just let it down. It's starting to rain already.